is a presentation of Sertoba Media and Comey Media Incorporated. The Cowboys rebound, the 49ers are cruising, and the Titanic showdown comes up Sunday. That and more. This is Total Football Talk. Welcome once again to another installment of Total Football Talk. Gridiron talk the way you like it, with news and fun all in the football world. I am one of the co-hosts of this program, Cole Johnson, a.k.a. the Mad Scientist and EP Extraordinaire. And I am joined as always by the other co-host of this program, Mr. Commander's Gridiron Report himself, D. Willie. Also Mr. In and Out as well, a.k.a. Drew Willingham. How you doing, man?
The man of many shows, it feels like right now, because between this one, the Commander's Gridiron Report, In or Out Sports Debate, and D. Willie in the evening on Thursdays now, got a lot of shows going on within a week, but hey, this is still at the top of the list. I'm ready to rock and roll with this one right here, my man.
Well, I'm ready to do it with you as well. It is great to see you. And before we start, let's hit the chat, shall we? Our brother Snowman, he says, hey, what's up? 49ers fan extraordinaire. Ike Dawson, what's up? TFT, baby. Let's go. Yeah,
Ike,
man, it's good to see you.
Ike and Snowman, welcome back to the show. Hopefully you guys can stick around for a little bit. We got a great one ahead.
Yes, we do. And let's kick things off with the opening drive.
All right, let's go. We got trips, right? At 42, 989. On two. Ready? Break.
And as we always do, we'll get things started with Thursday night's game. And that was the Green Bay Packers hosting the Detroit Lions. The Packers still haven't shown up. The final score was 34-20, and the game wasn't really that close. David Montgomery, that's right, former Bear, rushed for 121 yards and got 3 touchdowns. And the Lions defense put Jordan Love to the turf 5 times. What was your impressions of this game, man?
Where was that from David Montgomery when he was with the Bears? It was the number one thing I was thinking when I was watching him go off on Thursday night. The Lions came out ready to bite some kneecaps, and they did. They took care of business on that Thursday night. Got the win 34-20 over the Packers. Jordan Love, 2 interceptions, 2 costly interceptions as they lost by two possession game. So when you think about those 2 interceptions right there, it definitely pretty costly for the Packers.
I was actually impressed with the effort the Lions put forth. It looked like they looked like a team that suffered a loss like they did 2 weeks prior to the Seahawks, and they wanted to prove that they were a better team against the Falcons the next week. It looked like they carried that type of energy forward, and it was great to see them take the Packers seriously and demolish them. I love that, and if that lesson has been learned, man, the Lions are going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out. I love them boys, man.
I love you could just feel the energy when they're playing. Like, they are a totally different team than the Lions of the past, of what we're used to seeing. Ever since Dan Campbell came in the year, each and every year, they are definitely improving from the previous season. And I look forward to seeing what they can do within the next few seasons.
I am too. And man, it's going to be great just to see how they roll. Ooh, man, it's going to be great. The international series begins, and yes, this was in London, between the Falcons and the Jaguars. And talk about another game that was not close as the score. 23-7 was the final score. The Jaguars rebounded from their porous effort against the Texans. Darius Williams, he had a 61-yard touchdown return off of an interception for a touchdown and 4 sacks for the Jaguars defense. Man, the Falcons just simply it looks like they left their game in Atlanta. What do you think?
I think it's almost Taylor Heineke time in Atlanta. I mean, Washington, they let him go. He goes to Atlanta. Arthur Smith doesn't want to let go of Taylor Heineke quite yet because, the Jets with their woes at quarterback trying to make moves for the backups. And Taylor Heineke was one of the ones that was off the list that was not going to be available. And you see what Ritter did in this London game, throwing 2 interceptions. We just talked about it in the previous matchup with the Packers, how that cost them the game. This one, just a little over 2 possessions. It was only 23-7. Those 2 interceptions that you threw right there, if you don't throw them, changes the whole complexion of the entire game right there. Taylor Heineke is not known for turning the ball over that many times. He's only had a couple games where he's had some bad games, a couple turnovers, okay? Definitely better off than with Desmond Ritter. So that's something that I'm concerned about. For Kyle Nash, and for those of you out there that cover the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's not a fan of the Jaguars, but he covers them. I know that you were happy to get up early to not see the team get mollywopped. They were actually on the other side of this one and actually got the victory for this. But my concerns are at the quarterback position for the Atlanta Falcons right there. It doesn't look good for Desmond Ritter.
You could not echo my sentiments better. I get that Desmond Ritter is on the come up, but quarterback's got to take care of the ball and have the trust of the offense. And I love Ritter, but it looks like he does not have that trust yet. And I agree. When you have a quarterback like Heineke who actually can take care of the ball better, you would not have that worry or problem. Yeah, I agree with you. To the other slate of games on Sunday. We will start with the game that was supposed to be of the week. The Dolphins traveling to, Rich Stadium, now Highmark Stadium, to meet up with Bills Mafia and the Bills. The Bills handled them quite handily, 48-20. As Josh Allen, beautiful game, 21-25 during 20 yards and 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. And the Bills chipped in on defense with 4 sacks. What stood out in this game for you?
What stands out the most is ever since losing that first game to the Jets, the Bills are undefeated. They're 3-0 ever since coming out of that week 1 game. Going in against the Raiders, winning 38-10, going against the Commanders 37-3 and handing them that blowout. And then this game right here. We thought this one was going to be close. We were talking about this the past week. I didn't see it going this way, of course, and especially if the Bills won, not as lopsided as it was, 48-20. Josh Allen and this team right here lit it up. He had 320 yards, 4 touchdowns. Tua threw for almost 300 yards, but could barely convert with the points as he only had 1 passing touchdown, and he had an interception as well. Tyreek Hill couldn't even get over 58 yards, and Tyreek Hill has been a monster the first 3 weeks of the season. So the Bills defense did an absolutely great job by containing the Dolphins offense and allowing them only 20 points. For that defense to only give up 20 points against that electric Dolphins offense that had just scored 70 points on the Broncos and won by a margin of 50 points. And you can contain that 70-point offense to only 20, 50 points less. I say you did your job. What stood out the most is that defense on the Bills side this time.
Oh my gosh. You got to start climbing my head because that's exactly what I was thinking too. Wise El Jefe, Giants fan extraordinaire. He says hello to my two brothers.
Wise.
Well, hello to you, brother. And we see you, D. Smitty. Well, we agree, but maybe not necessarily in those words. All right. In one of the few games that would get the destination of Broncos and the Bears. Yes, I know. They actually combined to score 59 points, and it actually was a competitive game. But come on, 0-3 versus 0-3. It did not matter. But the Broncos did win the game 31-28 after the Bears had a double-digit lead through most of the game. Russell Wilson, he threw for 223 yards and 3 touchdowns, did not turn the ball over. That was impressive. The Broncos defense got 4 sacks, but on the losing end, Justin Fields actually threw for over 300 yards, 335 to be exact, 20-35 passing, 4 touchdowns, but he threw a pick. And Khalil Herbert, number 24, the guy who has replaced Mr. Montgomery, 103 rushing yards in a losing effort. Your thoughts on this game?
DJ Moore and Cole Kmet were the biggest safety blankets to one Justin Fields in this game. But it didn't turn out to be quite enough. As you know, on the other side of the ball, Russell Wilson played one of his best games we've seen in quite some time because he didn't turn the ball over. You know, he had 3 touchdowns to no picks. He still isn't throwing for the amount of yards that I would like to see as someone who's a Super Bowl champion who had all this hype coming in there into Denver and let's ride, but you haven't been riding too much ever since you came on into town with Denver. But when it comes to Denver, it's good on them. It's good for Sean Payton to finally get this win. You had McLaughlin and you had Cortland Sutton contributing with some touchdowns, as well as Brandon Johnson. They didn't do much outside of those touchdown catches, but those 3 touchdown catches were pretty impactful for that offense. Hopefully it's a boost of confidence because this team has been trending too far downward comparison to what they had last year and continuously going down. This is the first sign of there's light at the end of the tunnel for this Denver Bronco team. Now, when it comes to the Bears, I think between all the stuff we saw between their coordinator resigning because the DEA stuff or the FBI, whatever, and then you got all the influx in there to where Chase Claypool can't even stay in the locker room. They just kicked him out and everything. And you think about everything there, this Bears team is probably the ultimate dumpster Pelican team of the NFL right now.
Good job. That's what I was looking for. Yes, sir. I 100% agree with you. The Bears are circling the drain hard. Oh, my gosh. But, yes, it's good to see, as Chris Byrne would say, the Broncos get off the schneid and get their first victory of 2023. Did I say bowling shoe ugly? Ravens destroyed the Browns 28-3. The Ravens defense, they gave you 3 picks and 4 sacks. All right. So you had that, and you also had the following. Yeah, girl, come on, sit down. Yeah, give me that. Throw the towel, girl. There we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, girl. Oh, that seat must love you. That butt just meets the seat beautifully. Oh yeah. Oh, this. Oh, I'm about to. Oh. What's wrong? Oh, I threw out my shoulder with the rubber tug. Oh. Your thoughts on this game, sir?
Even though we had that situation from Deshaun Watson that led to him not being able to play, I was somewhat excited to see what Dorian Thompson-Robinson can do because of what he did in the preseason. He had some flashes. Of course, we know what he did in college, and I feel like he was a steal pickup for the Browns to have a solid backup quarterback. However, then we get to this game right here, and he was kind of thrown to the wolves to this Ravens team that definitely showed up like the Ravens team that they should have been showing up for this entire season. And then they did what they did against the Browns in winning that game in a lopsided victory, 28-3. Had Deshaun Watson not had those pregame rituals and thrown out his shoulder, then we probably would have seen a more competitive contest between the two because Deshaun Watson, when healthy and not throwing himself out there, has definitely been showing up this season in the moments he's been needing to show up. DTR is not quite ready. He's still a rookie. And, of course, the Ravens deserve to win this matchup right here.
And all joking aside, we'll definitely touch a little bit more on this game for other reasons as well. But yeah, it was horrible. Oh, did I mention bowling shoe ugly? It did destroy the Bengals in Nashville 27-3. The game wasn't even that close. Derrick Henry, 122 yards. He ran for a touchdown and he threw for one. Oh my gosh. The Bengals at 1-3, they look absolutely all out of sorts on both sides of the ball. Your impressions of this game?
I think that Derrick Henry showing up and doing what he did definitely helped save Ryan Tannehill's job in Tennessee right now because of what we've seen the first few weeks, of course. The Titans were 1-2 coming into this game. Of course, same thing with the Bengals. But the Bengals are they are not on the same level as the Bears. I don't want to put them on that level. No. But they are definitely playing like dumpster Pelicans. They absolutely are. I mean, we talked about it in the first week in our commercial. You see the highlight. Yes, right here at the dumpster Pelicans. You see he's the fourth one in the back, Joe Burrow. Okay, we've already labeled each individual Pelican in this picture throughout the past few episodes. But yeah, Joe Burrow's definitely in there. And of course, you got the Bears leading the pack right now, but we won't go too far. We don't want to go too far backwards. We go back to when we give our predictions for next week, I'll touch a little bit more on that. But when it comes to right here with the Bengals, Joe Burrow, what we've been accustomed to seeing since he came into the NFL and how the Bengals were elevated because of that, them taking a few steps back is one thing. This is going all the way back down to near the bottom of the league right here. You're in the bottom 5% of the league right now. And you have got to step it up because this is not what we are accustomed to seeing from Cincinnati over the past few seasons.
Yeah, and the amazing part is we would rave about the fact that, of course, Burrow has tremendous chemistry with Jamar Chase. But he seemed to form that same type of chemistry with Higgins and with Boyd. And all three of them seem to be out of sync with him. And it almost seems as if the injury that Burrow suffered in July is starting to really show its effects now. And I think they still haven't rebounded since then. Oh. Our brother Wise says, no, the Giants are leading the pack. They are leading the pack of dumpster Pelicans.
We haven't quite gotten that far yet, but once we get to last night's game, you get ready, Wise. I'm here with the fire after watching last night's game against the Seahawks.
What's scary is the prediction that was said on In or Out Sports Debate actually might come true. That's the messed up part about all this. Oh my gosh. An actual entertaining game, although it was entertaining from the fourth quarter on. The Rams beat the Colts 29-23 in overtime. Kyron Williams, 103 yards rushing. Oh, wait, before I continue. The Rams offense ran the ball. Oh my gosh. I was shocked. In fact, it was 20-0 at halftime. The Rams got 100 yards on the ground in that half. I was blown away. They ended up 164 total rushing yards, along with 303 passing yards. And Puka Nacua, who has been the number one pass catcher for the Rams, 9 receptions, 163 yards. He gave you the game-winning touchdown. And yes, I could talk about Anthony Richardson, but he was 11 of 25 in the game. Although, yes, he threw a touchdown that got him within 2, and he threw a 2-point conversion pass that helped them move the game over time. But otherwise, not that great of a performance. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, for the first time this year, the Rams have a running back that runs over 100 yards. The first time this year, the Rams had a running back that ran over 52 yards because in their first 2 games, their leading rusher was Williams with 52 yards amassed in both games. So he eclipsed 100 yards between adding the 2 games together. But in this game, he got 103 rushing yards. It was definitely nice to see. But also, I guess I don't know how you say his name. Puka Nakua, is that how you say it? His production, 9 receptions,
Yes.
163 yards and a touchdown, averaging 18 yards per catch. That was one great matchup right there when it came to him against that defensive side for the Colts, because he was definitely lighting them up. He was a big source for their production on the Rams. But I'll tell you what, if the Colts would have stuck with Uncle Rico and brought him back out this week, Rico would have got the win, and you know it, and I know it, Cole. It would have happened with Uncle Rico. Give him a shot. He deserves it. His nickname is Uncle Rico for you know what.
For those who don't know who Uncle Rico is, it is Gardner Minshew II.
Yes, he's the second.
And yeah, because he is the second. And for that take,
that's terrible.
My gosh. Goodness gracious, man. Well, along with all of these wonderful games, that's right, another Buccaneers toe up and down the Saints 26-9. And it looks like the fleur-de-lis curse is over, especially in the Superdome. Baker Mayfield, a.k.a. Bunker Stayfield, actually had a pretty good game. 246 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He did throw a pick. And Chris Godwin was the man that was receiving half of those passes, or at least for yards. 8 receptions, 114 yards. But the defense was not without their exploits as well. They turned the Saints over 3 times, 1 pick, and 2 fumble recoveries. Your thoughts on the Saints just wetting the bed and the Bucs destroying them?
The Saints absolutely definitely wet the bed. I mean, especially when you have Derek Carr coming back and he only throws for 127 yards, can't get the ball in the end zone. Alvin Kamara, your top running back, can't even, barely gets over 50 yards, 51 yards on 11 carries. And then Michael Thomas, your leading receiver, with 53 yards. They just weren't converting many first downs. They weren't moving the ball and moving the chains that much. When it comes to the Buccaneers, though, everybody wants to praise the Buccaneers right now. You're 3-1. And yes, you have Bunker Stayfield. And I almost called you Baker. You came real close to me calling you Baker Mayfield this week. But no, you still get Bunker Stayfield status. You know why? You know why, Bunker? Because you threw an interception. You threw an interception, and you gave the Saints a chance to come back. But they didn't, because they kept wetting the bed, like Cole Johnson just said. But people want to praise Bunker Stayfield. If it wasn't for Chris Godwin having 8 receptions for 114 yards and helping moving those chains, Bunker wouldn't have been in those positions to score anyway. So you have to look at the things that set him up for success. And I look at Chris Godwin and the other pieces that were already on a semi-successful team before you came into town, Bunker Stayfield. So if you want my respect, you got to stop turning the ball over. That's all I'm going to say, Bunker Stayfield.
Oh, Lord. You keep going with this. You know he's going to go tribal chief.
Acknowledge me.
Oh, my gosh. Bunker Stayfield. Goodness gracious. I would say this was a bowling shoe ugly game. It somewhat was, but I will ease up on that. As the Vikings beat the Panthers 21-13, the Panthers did have control of this game for much of it. They just simply couldn't hold it. As Bryce Young, poor Bryce Young, he visited the turf of Bank of America Stadium 5 times courtesy of the Vikings defense. Your thoughts on this game, sir?
I think that the Vikings definitely saved the Kevin O'Connell, the head coach's job in this one, because had you lost this game right here to the winless Panthers, I mean, this was definitely the toilet bowl of the weekend. When you look at the scores, I mean, we talk about the Broncos and the Bears. Maybe that was toilet bowl of the weekend. This is toilet bowl 2.0 right here. Kirk Cousins, though, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions are what kept the Panthers in the game. right there. I mean, hands down. You don't throw those 2 interceptions, you're going to win by at least one more score. But this entire offense, we are seeing probably one of the most dramatic 180s in a season, because they were like, 13-4 last year? They won 13 games.
Yes, they were.
And now they just got their first win inside of 4 weeks. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. At this rate, for going this way for the next 4 months, you'd be lucky to get 5 or 6 wins at the end of the season. So you have got to step it up here, the Vikings. We expected this from the Panthers. We knew they had a lot more room to grow. It's not all Bryce Young's fault. You got a dumpster Pelican team around you, and you look at what they're doing in there. Frank Reich took a bad head coaching position, or at least at this point, because, yes, Frank Reich is the 6th dumpster Pelican in the fact because of the way he coaches, because of how he coached last year in Indianapolis, and you think he's going to come in here and fix an already terrible situation? No, he's not. He's okay. He was an okay backup, but you want an actual starter in there to run this place, and I don't think he's it. And you definitely don't have the team around you to get it done. Good on the Vikings for getting their win this week and saving O'Connell's job for right now, and Kirk Cousins' reputation at least getting a little bit better. But when you still have 2 turnovers in the game, it doesn't help your cause. And the Vikings need to keep turning it around right now. Cannot afford to lose any more games. They want to have a shot at going to the playoffs this year.
How funny is this? So Cousins threw for over 300 yards in every loss. He didn't even come close to throwing for 200 in their win. Easily the worst performance for him this year, and the team notches a win. Oh, and by the way, the 13-4 record, this was coming from a team that that gave up more points than they scored. And yes, I will mention this wonderful stat to you, Mr. YSL Jefe. Although he says, wait, Bryce Young got sacked 5 times? That's all? Yeah, only 5 times. But his Giants was the one that knocked out the Vikings in the wildcard round last year. But enough of this game. Let's get to this one. And this makes me happy. The Houston Texans, behind C.J. Stroud, only starting in his 4th game ever in NFL, he brought their team to a 30-6 victory over the Steelers. Stroud threw under 300 yards, although he was only 16 of 30. He did throw for 2 touchdowns, and for the 4th consecutive game, he gave you 0 turnovers, 0 interceptions. I love that. And the other stat that is of note, the Steelers did not cross midfield all game long. Your thoughts, sir?
CJ Stroud, 4 games in, looking like a stud already there in Houston. Now, when you think about Kenny Pickett, this is his 2nd season. He's had 1 full season under his belt with experience in the NFL to understand how things go, okay? Had a lot of hype on him coming into Pittsburgh. Not as much hype as C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's got a lot more pressure on his shoulders that he has to weigh in on each and every week, and he's delivering 300 yards. When was the last time, Cole, that we saw a rookie in Houston throw for 300 yards multiple times? Okay.
Yeah.
And at this pace and having this type of success, especially in the first 4 games of the year, David Carr didn't do it. He was running for his life. It was setting records for sacks. Okay.
Yes.
So when we look at what's going on in Houston, D'Amico Ryans, with the type of leadership that's going on there, the culture change. We're talking about 180s earlier in this episode. Is a complete 180 in Houston. You as a fan definitely have to be happy with what you're seeing there for the Houston Texans.
I am. Of course, Damian Pierce, he grinded for 81 yards. I'm happy about the Will Anderson pick, and he's shown some flashes and signs, but it looks like the defense as a whole is lifting themselves up too. But of course, D'Amico Ryan's specialty is defense because he was a middle linebacker when he played, and he was defensive coordinator for 6 years with that vaunted 49ers defense. So he knows a thing or two about that side of the ball. Yes, so they notched their record at 2-2. The Steelers also failed to 2-2, and Kenny Pickens, he limped off the field, unfortunately, as he got sacked in the 3rd quarter. Wise says, looking like the best QB drafted. And I agree. I think Stroud looks like he's the best one drafted, hands down and by far. And it looks like he's on his way to Rookie of the Year. I'm not saying that it is over as of now, because it's only the past week 4, but so far he's looking that way. So let's hope it happens. Yeah.
He definitely is. And even Ike weighs in on it and says Stroud is a stud. He definitely is. I mean, you can't ask for any better quarterback play, especially out of a rookie coming in for the first month of the season, first 4 weeks of the season.
Can't, and I'm not. In fact, this is beyond my expectations. I'm loving what I'm seeing with CJ Stroud. Ooh, I'm loving it. To the late games, and the Chargers in SoFi being great renters as they beat the Raiders 24-17. The Chargers, oh my gosh, 155 yards on the ground. I'm impressed. Wow. And their defense turned it up. 7 sacks, 3 turnovers, which is 2 fumble recoveries and 1 interception. 6 of those sacks courtesy of one Khalil Mack. Although Brandon Staley still wanted to screw them out of a W, I will not go there. Your thoughts, sir?
For the Chargers, it was definitely a good game. It definitely, for them to come out with the win. But their defense stepped up in this one a little bit more than what you would think, because their offense, when you look at the numbers, nothing really sticks out to you that says that what they did on the offensive side of the ball really impacted the game as much. It really didn't. It was the defense and how they affected the Raiders. But a big part of that was you got your second string back in there, a rookie in Aiden O'Connell, who definitely hasn't seen much playing time at all. So,
and look,
Jimmy G, the difference between Jimmy G in San Francisco and Jimmy G in Las Vegas is if Jimmy G gets hurt, you had enough depth behind you to still get through the season. And then, of course, you found out with Brock Purdy, you had a little bit better talent than what you had with Jimmy G, okay? Yep. In Las Vegas, you don't have that situation at quarterback. You cannot afford for him to go down. So when he comes back, you need to keep him upright if you want to have a shot at doing anything this year, because this game right here, the Chargers had Jimmy G played, I think the Chargers would have lost this game and would be 1-3 right now. But can't do the whole shoulda, woulda, coulda game, because the Chargers now finally have gotten back to 500. It's starting to look a little bit better there for the Los Angeles Chargers there. And Staley can definitely be counting his lucky stars, because had the losing kept going throughout this first month, he definitely would be counting the days till he got his pink slip. And we might still see that potentially by the end of the season, depending on how the rest of this year goes. We still have 13 more games of the regular season here left to go, so we'll see what happens. But for the Chargers to get this win, it was good for the defense. I don't see anything really potentially great coming from the offense. They have got to do more work within that offense, because Justin Herbert, definitely with the style of quarterback that he is, deserves to have more than 167 yards in a game for an entire game. You're averaging over 40 yards passing per quarter. That is sad. That is absolutely sad. When you're at the caliber of Justin Herbert, this offense has to get it together if they want to have a shot of at least going 9-8 this year.
Man, I couldn't say that better if I tried. Beautifully stated. Oh, yeah. In the double bowling shoe ugly game of the week, the Cowboys, who my brother Snowman said was going to look past the team they played this past Sunday because his 49ers awaited them, they said, to Snowman, and they trounced thoroughly the Patriots 38-3. I could say, okay, fine, 250 yards in the air, or close to 250 yards in the air for Dak Prescott. Not really impressed by that, really. Deron Bland, not 1, but 2 picks, one of them for a pick 6. And they decided to roll in their bag of tricks of special teams and give you a touchdown there. I don't know what I was seeing with the Patriots offense. I don't. I help me out here with that.
The offense was an absolute dumpster fire. I don't want to overuse the other term yet, but we'll get to that in a second. When it comes to this game right here, the offense on the Cowboys side wasn't really dominant enough to where they were moving the ball around enough to, in my opinion, to have 38 points. I did see the Cowboys winning this game, okay? I did predict this for them to actually win this game. But what the thing that's been going on, and we've been talking about it throughout the entire offseason leading up to now, is that Cowboys defense. That Cowboys defense is nasty. And if they do what they just did to the Patriots this upcoming week, we'll talk about the predictions for next week. But the 49ers need to not be as cocky as they are, or at least the one fan out there who speaks a little bit too much of them. When it comes to this right here for the Cowboys, and I hate to say this because you know what's on my left arm right here. It's like sacrilegious for people of my fan base to speak of this, but I have my media hat on right now. Right. I'm saying they are, along with the Eagles, the top two teams in the NFC right now. Yeah, not along with that, but of the NFC East. The 49ers still are a great team, but they have a long season ahead of them, and they do not have the defense that the Cowboys have. Historically, all great teams, all great seasonal teams, beside the playoffs, all great seasonal teams have a great defense. The Cowboys have established that. If Dak Prescott can protect the ball, the sky's the limit, because what we saw in this game right here was Dak Prescott was smart with the ball when he had the ball for the most part. Okay, he didn't turn the ball over. He only had one touchdown, but he nearly threw for 300 yards. Your defense was setting you up in great spots because they had two interceptions, both by Bland, and that one fumble recovery that Vander Esch had and went into the end zone with it. You think about that, that's a lot of scoring. That's a lot of potential spots in the field that you wouldn't have gotten from your offense, that you got from your defense in the way that they played. So this game right here, and a lot of their wins so far this year, the big percentage of it all comes from the defensive play, not necessarily the offense. You need to be worried about that defense if you're anybody playing this team at all this season.
And I have said this on many a program, and I will say it here. The Cowboys defense is Super Bowl caliber. That offense, not there yet. And I still feel that way. But if Prescott can take care of the ball like he has in the 3 wins that they've had, the tune might change.
No,
we're going to go ahead.
You're not the only one. I'm part of your group too. And it's because some of 49ers fans are starting to turn into Cowboys fans. And it's ridiculous. They need to worry more about their priorities and less about going out here talking about the 49ers going to be undefeated.
And speaking of the, oh Lord, and speaking of the 49ers, due to Christian McCaffrey's 177 all-purpose yards and Brandon Ayuk receiving 148 yards, the 49ers go to 4-0 with a 35-16 victory over their divisional rival Arizona Cardinals. I will say this about the 49ers. I will give Brock Purdy credit. Only one incompletion in that game. And he is doing what you want quarterbacks to do. Take care of the ball and move the team down the field. And as far as the arrogance of the 49ers fan is concerned, I understand that. Humility will happen to them. It doesn't matter. It could be the Cowboys. It could be the Eagles. It's going to happen at some point. Your thoughts on the 49ers victory over the Cardinals?
I mean, over the years, leading up to the recent success the 49ers have had over the last decade or so, you guys were humiliated a lot over the 2000s, okay? And from, like, I'd say probably around the time that Steve Young left in the late 90s throughout the 2000s, okay? Mm-hmm. So you've experienced humility. Now, my team's experienced a little bit more humility, but it should humble you a little bit to when you get into these situations that you don't turn into Cowboy fans and you don't run your mouth a little bit too much. Yes, the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, and you beat the Cardinals, okay? Good job is expected of you. But when it comes to this point in the season, it's only 4 games in. And you could say, well, Drew, you're getting excited about the Cowboys. There's been a lot of hype on that team, and this is the first time that we've seen throughout the years, or at least the last 20, 25 years that I can remember, where we've had enough hype on the Cowboys and they're actually delivering. Okay? So because they're delivering, I'm going to at least be a little more invested in it. The 49ers have definitely been a good team to watch over the past decade, but just when you think they're going to pull through and take it all, they find a way to lose. And whether it's an injury or if it's a bad call. And the season's still too very young to see it. We got a lot of football left in us, but when it comes to this right here, I was glad to see, this go the way that it was, because had you lost to the Cardinals, this, your bragging rights of all that would have definitely gone down. This gives you a little bit more of an inflated ego going further into the season. So when the bigger stage gets there and you choke like you're known for doing, we'll have a lot more to say when that actually happens. But until then, I rest my case.
I never thought I would be in a situation where people are actually wanting the Cowboys to win, and it's not Cowboys fan rooting for them.
It's a Commanders fan. It's a Commanders fan.
It's a Commanders fan and a Giants fan.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. So Wise and I, who are both part of the NFC East, part of the two-team history that hates the Cowboys the most, okay, are sitting up here wanting the Cowboys to win over the 49ers. We'll get back to this prediction part in a little bit.
Yes,
we haven't gotten to that part of the show, but I am even more hyped now that we have acknowledged that.
Oh, my gosh. Goodness gracious. To the Taylor Swift game of the Sunday night game, which featured the Chiefs and the Jets. It actually was a closer contest than originally anticipated. It was 20-20 going into the fourth quarter. The Chiefs notched a field goal. Unfortunately, Zach Wilson decided to drop the ball and fumble about halfway through the fourth quarter. And then, well, the Chiefs took care of matters after that. 23-20 was the final score. Mr. Isaiah Pacheco had a homecoming in his home state of New Jersey. 20 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Your thoughts on the game, sir?
Well, we've discussed in the past about what is Robert Saleh smoking, if I remember that correctly.
Yes.
What was he smoking when he compared Mr. Pacheco to Marshawn Lynch? Do you recall that from that game? Do you recall when Chris Collinsworth had the audacity to even bring it up and talk about the fact that Robert Saleh compares the two? Because when Robert Saleh was a defensive assistant with the Seattle Seahawks back in the day, he saw a lot of Marshawn Lynch. And watching just a little bit of tape on Pacheco to get ready for him in this matchup, he decided to pull out his best stash, get lit up, and then go give an interview talking about the fact that he compares Pacheco to Marshawn Lynch. Just when I thought I was going to give you credit for barely losing this game by a field goal, and Zach Wilson playing probably the game of his career to save his career.
Agreed on
that announcement gets announced on the air, talking about comparing the running back of the Chiefs to Marshawn Lynch, Mr. Skittles devouring self himself, who came out there and played well. I do not agree with that. When it comes to the Jets, I thought that they were going to pull this one out for a very short period of time. Zach Wilson definitely looked like he had studied Aaron Rodgers for those few months that he had him in training camp and OTAs and all that stuff. Definitely had rubbed off on him. I just don't know if he'll be able to continue this momentum throughout the rest of the season. And if he does, it's good on the Jets. They know what they've got for the future, but they've got a long way to go. But for them to do this against the Chiefs, during the Chiefs game, against all the Swifties, everything else that come along with it, for you to do that in a primetime game, the Jets are not as done as people thought over the past few weeks.
Well, and I agree with you on the Zach Wilson point. I think he actually played the best game of his NFL career.
Saved his career.
And probably saved his career because it was on the biggest stage he's ever been on. And it was against probably the team of the moment in terms of rings. So, yeah, I'm happy for him. But as far as Robert Salah comparing Isaiah Pacheco to Marshawn Lynch.
That's terrible.
I mean, Cole,
my gosh.
I'm watching this and I'm just thinking,
What?
you're gonna sit here and compare Pacheco to Marshawn Lynch?
What?
You should let me get on the air and just say this.
Let me talk to you.
Followed by,
Stop it. Get some help.
Oh my gosh. That was beautiful. Oh my goodness. What were we seeing last night in the Meadowlands? 24-3 the final score. The Seahawks took care of business against the Giants. The game really wasn't even that close. The Seahawks offense didn't have to do much. Heck, the Seahawks defense outscored the Giants. Oh my gosh. And give it up for the Seahawks defense. 11 sacks, 10 of them happened to be at the hands of Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes now will be Danny Crimes from now on. Thank you, Shannon Sharp. 11 sacks, 3 turnovers. And with those 3 turnovers, it was a fumble recovery and 2 picks. One of them, a 97-yard pick six. Your thoughts on this ugly, bowling shoe ugly game?
watching this game and watching it with the Manning brothers announcing this game, right? And watching Eli having to talk about how terrible this Giants team was more entertaining for me watching that than watching the other broadcast on ESPN where it's the legitimate broadcast, okay? Because you could just see the sadness in his eyes. He was supposed to mentor Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was supposed to be the next Eli Manning, but better because he was younger and probably had a little bit better of an IQ of what we thought. But when it comes to this, when it comes to Daniel Jones, 27-34, his completions weren't that bad, 27-34. But 203 yards, no scores, but you get 2 interceptions, okay? Think about that in the fact that just like when we were talking about last week with a certain rusher that had more rushing yards than the rest of the team, okay? In this case right here, Daniel Jones led the running back core with 66 rushing yards. He was running for his life on 10 attempts, running away from the pocket to save himself from getting injured, converted into 66 yards to be their leading rusher over Matt Breida, who had 14 attempts for 30 yards, averaging 2.1 yards per carry. That is absolutely sad. Wise El Jefe, if you are still with us when it comes to this, between the Bears and your Giants right here, I give you a complete tie for the ultimate dumpster Pelican play of the week. The Giants are tied with the Bears. They are I'd say the third dumpster Pelican. They have moved up in the rankings to third dumpster Pelican of the overall season, okay? They haven't done well enough to be 1 and 2 yet. Or they haven't done bad enough to be 1 and 2 yet. I need to change my wording there. They do bad enough to be a dumpster Pelican, but they're at 3. You got the Bears, you got the Bengals, and the Giants are my top 3 dumpster Pelican teams so far in the NFL. And that's just how I feel. But the Giants are not far off my prediction right now. They could still technically go 1 and 7. I don't hope for anything bad. I just hope my prediction works out in this case. So that way, when we go back to that episode 99, and Wise was like, "Oh, you spoke of something different than what I'm thinking, man. I don't know. You didn't say that, but that's probably what you were thinking because you thought that I was way off with the 1 and 7 prediction. When we see games like we saw last night, you got to start giving more and more spec on my name right here. Like Birdman said back on the Breakfast Club back in the day, put some spec on my name because it's coming 1 and 7. I'm sorry, dumpster Pelicans.
Oh my. And even he has admitted he's moved on to the NBA season. Rob D says, bang, bang, Niner game. We'll talk about them, of course, a little later. We have come upon our first break. This concludes opening drive. We hope you enjoyed it. Oh, no, it does not include it. Game of the week. That's right. And the game of the week features my man's team, the Commanders. They did a really good job in hanging with, leading at points, and then fighting back from a deficit to their divisional rival Eagles. Unfortunately, they fell to them 34-31. Jalen Hurts, 319 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. A.J. Brown, 9 receptions, 175 yards of those. 2 touchdowns, and both of the touchdowns of Jalen Hurts' passes were received by Brown. The Eagles defense sacked Sam Howell 5 times, but Sam Howell gave you 290 yards and a key touchdown to Mr. Dotson as time was 3-0 in regulation to send it into overtime. Look, all I gotta say about this is your Commanders fought, and I love to see it. And I think if they can do a little bit more of that, I think they'll come out on the winning side of these games, especially against teams like the Eagles. Your thoughts?
All right, people.
Let me talk to you.
When it comes to the Commanders, they showed up this past weekend, and it's time for you to
Acknowledge me.
Because when it comes to the Commanders' style of play, they definitely showed up, and they were ready to rock and roll in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They did. They absolutely did. Now, there are some key concerns that I have, which is why I feel like it was part of the deficit here. We were just talking about quarterbacks for their team leading the team for that game in rushing, which is a big red flag to me when you have running backs on your staff. Sam Howell led in yards on the ground this past weekend. Well, no, he was second, of course. My bad. Brian Robinson only had 45 yards, but that was on 14 carries, averaging 3.2 yards per carry. Not very Brian Robinson-esque. Then you have Sam Howell averaging almost 7 yards per carry. That's where I say that he was leading the pack in rushing because of what he was getting in his production for the rushing. Sam did great, though, as far as not turning the ball over, converting for almost 300 yards, keeping the team within the game and going into halftime with a 17-10 lead. That right there altogether was great momentum for this Commanders team after coming back from a deficit from the past week against the Bills, 37-3. We were talking about this last week. I thought that they were going to lose by at least a double-digit score. As we were talking about this, I was giving my prediction and not trying to get too excited, even though historically, when it comes to teams within their own division, the Commanders have always hung close. Even on their worst seasons, they've still found a way to only lose the game by no more than 10 points. It's not like they're getting blown out usually. So with this one, I probably should have thought about that more before I gave my prediction last week. But when I was thinking about the way they lost to the Bills and the way that the Eagles have been playing, they were 3-0 coming up to that point, and putting all that together, I just didn't have a lot of high hopes for this game this past weekend. And I will be the first one to sit here and tell you that I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong with predicting that game this past week. And I was glad that I was wrong with the way that I saw that matchup in Philadelphia. Sam Howell, a lot of question marks after what we saw in that week 3 game with the Bills. I think those questions have been eradicated now, and we can trust Sam Howell definitely to be a quarterback in the NFL. We can definitely trust him. I would like him to stay and continue to elevate and continue to improve because he's showing a lot of promise. But the one thing, and I said this to you yesterday in a message, Cole Johnson, actually 2 days ago when it happened, on Sunday, I said, you know what? They did play great. I'm proud of them. But I'm so mad at Robert Eugene Rivera right now. I'm so mad, and I want to say how mad that I am. Like I did that text message to Cole, but I can't because we're on the air, and I promised him that I would not cuss. I don't have to sit here and say I will not cuss 50 times to not cuss. I just won't do it. But what I will say is, Ronald Eugene Rivera, you made a bad mistake at the end of the game. You had one last opportunity to make one more move and potentially save the game. Because it's historically proven that it works at least 33% of the time. You should have tried to ice the kicker, but you didn't. Just let Elliott trot out there and kick the game-winning field goal when you had 2, not 1, but 2 overtime timeouts remaining where you had one of those shots of those opportunity timeouts to take it and ice the kicker, but you didn't. I respect you going for one at the end of the game and saying that your team was gassed and going for that field goal, give them a chance to breathe and go into overtime and see what they can do. Well, you saw what they could do. You had an opportunity to stop them from kicking the field goal, or at least try, but you didn't. No shoulda, coulda, wouldas, because you didn't do this. All it takes is doing this right here and saying, my name is Ronald Eugene Rivera, and I support this message. I'm taking a timeout, but I'm not going to take a timeout because I suck and I'm going to get fired at the end of the season. That's how I feel about you, Ronald Eugene Rivera. You deserve this message.
And you deserve a similar message of that nature, Mr. Nick Sirianni. Even though, yes, your team is 4-0, your team is circling the drain in terms of energy and in terms of continuity. They're not like how they were in 2022, but you better be thanking your lucky stars that you got a W against a rival that you probably should not have earned. But, hey, you were 3 points better than your opponent. That's all that matters. But understand, you keep playing like this as the season goes along, those W's will turn to L's pretty fast. But that was the game of the week. And man, that was so great that my brother read the Commanders head coach Ron Rivera. Oh my gosh. Now we will take our first break. Good Lord, when we come back, the Gridiron Scoop. Oh my God.
All right, let's go. We got trips, right? At 42, 989. On two. Ready? Break.
We're just getting started. Total Football Talk will return right after this.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pistol 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby!
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying. But this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Welcome back to Total Football Talk with Drew Willingham. I am Cole Johnson, and now you are inside this. We got some good stories for the Gridiron Scoop. Let's get to it, shall we? Now, we did mention it a little earlier. The Swifties were out in full force again as Taylor Swift made another appearance at a Chiefs game. Yes, the singer who couldn't shake off another chance to watch Travis Kelce on the field witnessed a 23-20 victory the Chiefs had over the Jets Sunday night. Now, you saw her enter the stadium with actors Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Hugh Jackman. And you also saw her at times talk with Brittany Mahomes during the game in the VIP boxes. Now, my question to you, sir, is the following. When will people get fatigued with Taylor Swift attending Chiefs games?
I don't think they will, because you've got new fans. I mean, they were just talking about the other night that I think Travis Kelce gained like 900,000 followers on like Instagram in just a week from having her at the game the week prior. Now, when you think about it all, I mean, at some point it's going to get a little bit annoying, but I mean, it brings more attention to the game, brings more celebrities to the game. I mean, we already had celebrities coming to the games anyway, but it brings more celebrities to the Chiefs. I mean, before this run that we've seen over the past 3 to 5 seasons, ever since the Chiefs have been evolving as the team of the NFL, when did we really see celebrities really attending Kansas City Chief games or getting excited about them? Of course, Travis Kelce is a personality like you and I on a completely different level. I mean, he has taken the shield of football right there, the shield of the NFL, and used that platform to elevate himself now in the podcasting game. As you know, him and his brother started up a podcast less than 2 years ago. I think it was just last year they started it up. And look, they're up there with like the Pat McAfees of the world as far as one of the greater of the podcast, in the top 1% of all podcasts in the United States, and probably not as high in the world, but still up there. They're definitely very entertaining. And when you have, the discussion of potentially the greatest tight end of all time, or up there, especially probably now in the top 5 with what he's done already, definitely top 10, arguably in the top 5, not the greatest, but arguably in the top 5. And then you're on this great team that's won 2 Super Bowls within the last few seasons, and then you have Taylor Swift. The sky's the limit right now for Travis Kelce. He is living the dream. The only thing that I am concerned about, well, 2 things, because I'm not really concerned about the team, because the team proved last year that during that quarterback documentary series with Patrick Mahomes, that wasn't a distraction. And if you can get through an entire season with cameras being in the locker room and in your personal space, then this whole situation with Taylor Swift isn't going to bother them to knock them off, okay? The things I'm concerned about are, is this just a work? Is this like a wrestling story? Is this like an actual work? Like, is this real? Like, what is it, real or is it a work? That's what we're going to find out in due time in this situation right here, if it's just for publicity. And can the other teams that they're playing, not the Chiefs, but can the other teams that they're playing deal with the actual scrutiny that comes with having Taylor Swift in the actual stadium? Can they deal with the hype of Taylor Swift being in the house? It seems like the Jets could, because the Jets were using it as motivation, and it seemed like Zach Wilson was too, that we got the best of what we got out of them this past weekend. That's another thing to be concerned about if you're either the opposing team or if you're the Chiefs as well, because if Taylor Swift helps elevate every single team, before you know it, you're going to have the dumpster Pelican-esque Bears coming in and upsetting you, because they're the ones using it as fuel, tackling fuel, to beat the Chiefs.
Well, thankfully, it will not be the Bears, because that was the first game she attended, and that game went 41-10. But yes, but yes, to your point, I think you might see teams use it as fuel, extra fuel, to want to impress somebody of great stature, just to give the Chiefs the L. So yes, I agree with you there. And there's a lot of people that seem to want to have these vile thoughts, but I'm like, I don't care. It's for casuals. Fine. As long as it doesn't interrupt my viewing of the game, I could care less who's in the stands or who they want to focus on in the media. That's fine.
We do see more camera shots to the press box in the game now than we did prior.
That is
I
true.
will say that. It seems like every third play we're looking at Taylor Swift. So to go along with what you were saying, I think that might be a concern we have going forward as well.
That's a good point too. And your take of this might be a work, and for those who are unaware, whenever someone says work in wrestling vernacular, it means it's for play, not real. Of all places, I heard this in the Joe Budden podcast where Joe himself actually said, I actually believe this is all for clout and publicity stunts. I hope it's not. I really would like for this to be real. And if it's something that is for play, that really would suck. Ugh. That,
especially for
wow.
Travis Kelce, because he seems pretty down to earth.
Yeah.
Him and his brother. I like listening to their podcasts. They,
Yeah.
they seem like just regular people out there just doing a job. I mean, that's why, they got my respect with that too. So I just feel like with them, this would speak a lot of volumes, some high volumes if they're working us, and this isn't a legitimate relationship.
Yeah. And I actually like Jason and Travis too. I agree with you there. Man. Now, news of less celebrity variety. Oh, I did mention this a little earlier. The offense may have taken an even uglier turn. Was that even possible? But after the 30-6 loss to Houston, Kenny Pickett, the quarterback of the team, limped off the field. And it looked like he injured his knee. He had to be helped off the field after he was sacked by Jonathan Grenard on a 4th-and-1 play and was ruled out shortly after. Now, Pickett was then 15 of 23 for 414 yards and no touchdowns. Now, he did throw a pick before he left. But the 20th overall selection last year's draft looks like he has to sit for a bit. And now Mitchell Trubisky will take over duties. Now, my question to you, sir, is the following. Will the Steelers perform better with Mitchell Trubisky under center?
No, sir. They will not. When you look at Mitchell Trubisky, he's 3 of 5 in this last game for 18 yards, averaging 6 yards per pass. You out there, any of you who are going to sit there and say that you think he's going to do a better job than Kenny Pickett in the struggles, it's not all Kenny Pickett. You've got a pretty rough team around you, and not like rough around the edges good. Like it's bad rough. Like you're playing pretty bad. Now, I'm not going to put you on the Pelican side of things yet because you still have a little bit more bad things to show me before I grade you that low. But you're heading there. It's inevitable if you don't change some things up. I mean, you made some moves in the offseason, especially to bolster that defense, and you're not showing anything from that right now, especially when you're losing 30-6 to a team that you should be beating 30-6 on paper. If we talked about this 3 months ago, and Cole would agree with me then when we
100.
talked about it. But what we've seen over the past few weeks from the Houston Texans, I'm not surprised they won this game now after what we've seen from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't think it would be as lopsided as this 30-6, but when you lose to that magnitude to the Houston Texans, a team that we were talking about completely differently a month ago before the season started, and now we have this, I don't have high hopes for Mitch Trubisky. To answer your question, I do not think that they're going to have better success and perform any better under Mitch Trubisky.
I don't either. In fact, I think they actually might regress even further. And the offense for the Steelers under Matt Canada, the offense coordinator, you all should be ashamed of yourselves. Horrendous offense. Goodness gracious. Staying in the NFC North and actually staying with injury concerns as well. Browns offensive end Myles Garrett hurt his foot Sunday in the 28-3 loss to the Ravens at home, but he doesn't think it will be a long-term issue. Now, he did record his 80th sack this past Sunday, but he was fitted in a walking boot after the loss and was asked at a press conference if he thought he would be able to play after the team's bye, and we'll talk about the byes later on the program. He feels as though he will be ready. Now, they will return to action at home against the 49ers, and the head coach of the team, Kevin Stefanski, believes that they also expect Deshaun Watson to be back for that game, but let's just deal with Garrett. And my question to you about that is, should Myles Garrett rush back to play against the 49ers after their bye week?
I don't think so. It depends on the Deshaun Watson situation at that time. If Deshaun Watson's back and, at that time you really need a spark, maybe. But based on what he was doing with his pregame rituals, which you were talking about at the beginning of the show, I don't see that making a huge impact on Myles Garrett's decision. You got to think about the long term here. You're not at the twilight of your career, but decisions like this, where you run back too fast from an injury that you should have let heal up for another week or two, can definitely impact the rest of your trajectory for your career. You can have a long career, you can have a short career, because these minor injuries that you have, if you do not take care of them and do not heal right, can add up to be even bigger, more tumultuous injuries that can be far worse than what you're experiencing right now. Get paid a lot of money, take care of yourself. The Browns are not going to the Super Bowl this year. They still have to add some more pieces. They can make a run at some point if they do this smart, but when have the Browns really built a Super Bowl-esque team in the past 30 years? Okay, it's been since Bernie Kosar in the late 80s since the NFL has seen anything close to what the Cleveland Browns would consider a potential run to a Super Bowl. Okay, and they didn't even get it then. So we have got a long way to go before then. If you're Myles Garrett, you should play this safe. Even if it takes another week or two after the bye week, play it smart. We want you for the rest of the season and to impact the rest of the NFL for many years to come. If you come back too soon and tweak it too much, it could be the beginning of the end for you.
Wow, I could not put it better myself, and I agree. Don't rush back, Myles, man. You got more good playing ahead of you, bro. And if you happen to miss a 49ers game, miss it. As long as you are healthy, because your team needs you. You're the best player on the team. Now, then, unfortunately, Nick Chubb is out for the year. Yeah, they need you, bro, and they need you healthy.
And he's lucky, Nick Chubb, that with that injury that it's not far worse than what it was. I mean, because that was nasty. I mean, we thought he disintegrated his entire knee, and luckily it was only one part of it, not the whole thing. So good on Nick Chubb. But when you think about those injuries and the type of luck they've already had for the Browns so far this year, and especially looking at their main quarterback, no matter if it's a rub and tug or whatever type of injury he's getting, it's still an impact on this team. You don't want to add to that. You're in the boat right now, too, with your injury. You don't want to make it worse. Play this smart, man.
Yeah. Again, can't say it better myself if I tried.
Total Football Talk.
Oh, yeah. Where my dogs at? Oh, yeah. Welcome to Grand Champ, where we award the Dog of the Week. Each one of us does. And for his Dog of the Week, I go to Drew.
This was a tough one. This was tough because I wanted to give it to Josh Allen at first because of what he did the previous week against Washington and what he did this week against Miami. And those of you out there would deservingly give it to Josh Allen, and I won't even be mad at you for doing it. I think for the first time ever, and maybe for the first time in a long time, or maybe throughout the rest of the history of this show, I think I'm going to give the Dog of the Week to an actual member of the NFL that lost the game this week. A member of the NFL that wears kind of green, similar to the polo shirt that I'm wearing today. A man who has had so much turmoil thrown at him since he was chasing the Cougars last year. A man who in the first 3 weeks, we saw some ups, very little, a lot of downs mainly in the first 3 weeks of the season. A man who came out and almost beat the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. I have to give it to Zach Wilson for 28 of 39, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no turnovers. Normally, I would not give it to a quarterback that threw for less than 300 yards because we had multiple quarterbacks throughout the league that threw for 300 yards this week. But the fact that we look at how terrible Zach Wilson played the previous 2 weeks, okay, week 1, weeks 2 and 3, absolute trash. Comes out this week, doesn't turn the ball over, makes smart decisions with the football. I have to give it up to the Jets and to Zach Wilson right here for doing the right thing and not losing the game. Actually, I take it back. I take this back. Zach Wilson did have a fumble in this game. I just thought about it. It was the fumble at the end. He had a great game up until the end and then fumbled it, and that's why the Chiefs lose. You know what? On a whim, for the first time in the history of the show, I'm going to completely change my dog of the week and not finish this up with Zach Wilson. I'm going to revert back to my original take.
Why?
Because I forgot about the fumble. I'm going to give it to Josh Allen. 21-25 for 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. Why? Because he's Josh Allen, and he's awesome, and he's won back-to-back games by scoring over 80 points in both games combined. 85 points between weeks 3 and weeks 4 against the Commanders and the Dolphins. People are probably thinking, man, maybe Wazell Heffy was right about with whatever you were smoking. But no, I'm not going to give it to Zach Wilson. I'm going to give it to Josh Allen, as I had a change of heart during my take for the longest dog of the week take in the history of this show, as well as the first time I've ever given it to a losing team, then changed my mind in the middle of the team and gave it to the correct person that I should have given it to all along. I'm on fire. Here we go. Josh Allen, you get it this week. Week 4, dog of the week.
And Zach Wilson loses again. That is sad. Oh my God. He actually said the man was chasing after Cougars last year. Oh my God. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever top this take ever. Oh my gosh. You know, I haven't seen him play in a minute, and I haven't seen the name crop up. And I was going to give it to CJ Stroud, but I was like, nah. I did throw in some flowers early in this episode, but I'm not going to give it to him. I'm going to give it to Khalil Mack. I mean, 6 sacks. I mean, to control a game as a pass rusher is absolutely astonishing. And I mean, we would have to think of games like the one that Derek Thomas had, where he actually sacked Dave Craig 7 times and came close to sacking an 8th. Now, unlike him, you actually won your game. So kudos to you, Khalil. I've always thought you were a disruptor. And of course, I know you had motivation because Mac was your Mac, you were playing your former team in the Raiders. So I know that you were super pumped, super geeked, super excited to actually do damage against your former squad. And so I'm happy about that. And unlike my partner, I won't take this much time. Khalil, congratulations, man. And I'm glad to see that you are still causing havoc in backfields and quarterback pockets. More after this.
Coming up next, the featured attractions. This is Total Football Talk. Comey Media Incorporated, creating content magic in the real world.
Yeah. But hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What? See how he going to keep his phone down and not make bets?
What?
Come on, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $ D Willie 87. Go ahead, hit him up on the Cash App, and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. How about some Willie Bucks?
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show. BS3 Network proudly presents.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon, and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to Football Talk, where Dogs of the Week / Grand Champs can change in the middle of the award with Drew Willingham. I think Cole Johnson. That was beautiful. Oh my gosh. I don't think that Grand Champ will ever be topped. Oh my gosh.
I set the bar too high.
Yeah, you set the bar too high. That I can't reach. I could try, but I will fail miserably. To the chat we go. My man Melvin, what's up, brother?
Melvin,
says, what's up, fellas? And he says, "How about them cowards? I mean, Cowboys." And we will talk about those cowards, Cowboys, actually right now or very soon. Here's featured attraction. But we will start with the London game for this week. This coming week, I should say. The Jaguars at 2-2, they will travel to be the road team against the Bills in London. They are at 3-1. The Bills are favored by 5.5 in this game. Kickoff is at 9:30. Of course, all times are Eastern. 9:30 a.m. on Sunday. For the Jaguars, do you believe that they had got overconfident before last Sunday?
So just to make sure that I read this right before the show, and now listening to you, the Jaguars are in London 2 weeks in a row?
They are. They were the
Did
home
they even
team.
come home?
I don't know. They were the home team this past Sunday. They will be the road team this coming Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you might as well just have stayed there. Like there's no point coming home if you're going to be playing there for the next 2 weeks. But when it comes to this matchup right here, I think the Jaguars have an edge because they're already there if they stayed there. They're familiar with the surroundings. But the Bills have been on fire ever since losing week 1. Okay. They are definitely coming in hot. This is the time and the team that I think has the chance to deflate the Bills a little bit. But when the Bills have scored, like I said, 85 points over the last 2 weeks combined, this is trouble for the Jaguars, who have already been exposed earlier in the season as a team that they were not as of last year. Okay. They're not the same team, or at least they haven't kicked off the rust yet enough to prove that they are the team of last year. This is going to be the game right here for the Jaguars to prove if they are the team of last year that can withstand the hype and make it to the playoffs, or are they going to crumble under the pressure in London, where they've been for an entire week now and have adapted to the surroundings, the time zone, everything.
Right.
You have the edge, in my opinion, over the Bills, but I think the Bills are just a very nasty team right now where they're just red hot. 85 points in 2 weeks. That's a lot of points to score.
And they notched 38 the week before that. So, yeah, they've been on fire. And speaking of which, they did it on the ground. Well, the first 2 games of that 373 on the ground against the Raiders, 130 on the ground against the Commanders. They actually ran for over 100 against the Dolphins, but they had a spectacular game from Allen. However, they were really physical on both sides of the ball. Do you think that overall physicality can continue for the Bills in this game?
It can. It definitely can because, I mean, that's been part of their demeanor that's helped them score, the 85 points in 2 weeks. And then, of course, you said 38. So that right there, I mean, altogether, was that 133 points in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have decent math skills, but yeah, 133 points in 3 weeks. That's a
Mhm.
lot
Yeah.
of just the scoring. But you got to look at the other side of it too. When they only gave up those 3 points against the Commanders, then they did what they did with this past week, but only giving up 20 points, and they only gave up 10. This team has only given up 33 points. They're 133 to 33 as far as scoring. They've scored 100 more points than what they've given up in the past 3 weeks. So when you think about all that, not only they haven't even given up 5 total touchdowns and points throughout this past 3-week span. This team is red hot. And if the defense can do, especially within your question, if they can continue with their overall physicality, I believe so because they are red hot right now.
Yeah. And the defense did not take a game off Monday night to begin Monday night because they only allowed 16. Yeah, so I know you're saying, well, Cole, the final score is 22-16. Yeah, well, the last 6 was on a punt return. But yeah, that defense has been on point since opening kickoff of the year for them. So who do you have between the Jaguars and the Bills?
I literally had to flip a coin with this one because, the one hand says with the Jaguars have been in London now for the second week in a row. I feel like they have the competitive edge because they're adjusted to the time zone, and they are a pretty decent team that just won 23-7. But I got to look at who they played at the same time too. When I compare that to the Bills, who I just have said 133 points scored versus 33 points given up, you have to go with the Bills in this game. I don't think there's going to be as lopsided of a victory as what we've seen over the course of the past 3-week span because you are traveling to London. You are in a different time zone. You got to adjust to everything. And I still think that they come away with a victory, but it's not going to be as lopsided as what we've seen over the past few weeks.
And yes, you'll be playing 3.5 hours earlier than you normally would on a Sunday too. So yeah, all that will be factored in. And I agree with you. I think the Jaguars, even though they are the road team, they have the home team advantage because they have been there for a full week. But the Bills are just right now. I haven't seen a team in the last 3 weeks play better than them. I'm having a hard time thinking of a team that's played better than them. I can't. 3 straight weeks where they have had 30 plus or close to 30 plus point victory margins. I mean, and I would say the game against the Raiders would be that too, but the margin was 28. I mean, jeez. I mean, the Bills have just shown that they are ready for prime time for real, and I just can't see the Jaguars overcoming them. Let me see. How should I introduce this next one? I know it's a featured game, but even with featured games, the featured games can also be bowling shoe ugly too. And I mean in style more than anything else. The Ravens are traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. Normally, this is a good game. Normally, this is a tough game. Normally, this is a physical one. And normally, you will see a rash of injuries because of the physicality. 1 p.m. kickoff in Acrisure Stadium, not Heinz Field. And that is a shot to one of my former managers. The Ravens are about 4.5. And you got to help me out. I'm not really impressed with what I'm seeing with the Ravens. Defensively, they're okay. I won't say they're great. They're good, but I won't say they're great. But offensively, they just seem to be off kilter. Now, what type of offense are we going to get from them?
It's tough. It's tough to really answer that one of all the questions in the featured attractions because is so wishy-washy. 1 week they're scoring 4 touchdowns, the next week it seems like they can barely get anything on the board, throughout the trajectory of a game. So, if they can stay with the momentum of what they built from this past weekend and continue to play like they did, then we've got a good shot of seeing a really good Ravens team this upcoming week. But I think with the fact of the way you're playing the Steelers, I think you got a good shot of playing pretty well anyway with what we just talked about with how they were in this past matchup as well.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think that I actually like their chances. And I actually like their chances to perform offensively better than they normally would. And speaking of the Steelers, defensively, I don't really have much of an issue with them. But if they're going to be on the field, of course they're going to look not all that great. Any team would suffer from being on the field defensively for long stretches of time. But I'm looking at that offense. 7 points against the 49ers. Even though they had 26 against the Browns in the win, 12 of those were offensive. They had their best output in 23 against the Raiders and only 2 field goals against the Texans. Heck, I'm just going to come right out with it. Is it time to replace Matt Canada as Steelers offense coordinator?
It seems like it is because, Mitch Trubisky is not a great quarterback, but he's had some decent success in other places. He did okay in Buffalo when he had the backup chance there. Okay. Now he did do terrible when he played with Chicago, and here with the Steelers, he hasn't done but so much. But I feel like, regardless of who you've got, if you're as great of a coordinator as the hype of which you had coming into Steel Town, you should be able to get something out of your quarterbacks, something positive, a little bit better than 6 yards per attempt like you do for Mitch Trubisky. Yeah. It's barely half. It's barely converting half the yards you need to get a first down. So when I put all that together, I feel like it's time to start thinking about life after Matt Canada.
Because this offensive output needs to improve a lot. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's just horrible. It's horrible. So I think it's not that much of an issue, but who do you have in this game?
The Ravens win this game. The Ravens win this game and go 4-1, and the Steelers will be 2-3. You'll start having more question marks around Matt Canada. It is, of course, a division game, and they've had a lot of great matchups over the years, but I don't think Steelers have it together enough to be as competitive as the Ravens can be in this contest. I feel like the Ravens take this by at least double-digit points, by at least 10 points.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think Steelers fan, you're probably hoping for the similar output as what you saw Monday night against the Browns, where your defense came up with 1 pick six and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. You're going to need your defense to score probably even a couple of times in order for you to get a W in this game. Otherwise, this is Ravens all day long. It's unfortunate, but because your offense is just putrid. And now, the team that Melvin referred to as the cowards, the Cowboys, and another referred to as Cow Garden Tool. I'll put it that way. The Cowboys travel to Santa Clara. They play the 49ers. This is the Sunday night kick tilt. 8:20 is the kickoff. 8:20 p.m. That is. The 49ers are favored by 4. And the Cowboys are 3-1. The 49ers are 4-0. So the Cowboys offensively coasted in the first game. All right, I'll even say it. They even coasted in the game against the Jets. They showed some offensive firepower, but they had to because they were down by double digits in the desert. And even though, yes, Dak Prescott threw for 260 yards in the air, they coasted in the game against the Patriots. When will this offense wake up?
They need to wake up fast, because if they don't, The defense can only carry them, but for so long. And of course, we saw the Baltimore Ravens team of the 2000 team carry that team to a championship. Football has changed so much since then. It's not the same type of game as it was. You can have a team, it's a great defensive team and a mediocre average offense, along with a great defense, get you to a Super Bowl, but you still have to be able to convert on something. Dak Prescott is getting paid the money that he's getting paid to be considered as an elite quarterback, but you're not getting the elite quarterback play out of him. If you do not wake up this offense and wake it up fast, all this hype is going to be drained out of that hot air balloon that's carrying you around. Because, yes, this defense can help contain the 49ers this weekend, but what is the offense going to do against the 49ers is my bigger question to counteract that question.
Well said. And that's exactly why I asked that question, because I could see the Cowboys defense giving the 49ers fits. But if the Cowboys is not going to help out the defense, what's the point? And flipping it to the 49ers, defensively, they have shown up. They've actually shown up in every game. Probably for the exception of the first half against the Rams, they've looked really stellar.
Yes.
The offense has been consistent, and I love the fact that they tell Purdy, just don't make the mistake, make a couple of plays, and I think we'll be good. And they've been balanced, running and throwing the ball, and that has been the most impressive thing about this year for me, just seeing that balance, and they have kept it every game that they have played this year. Of the 49ers, which side of the ball do you fear more?
I would say the offense right now,
Yeah.
because of how they've been clicking on all cylinders, especially since Brock Purdy came in last year. Even since coming back from his injury, he is still doing great things at the quarterback position. And these games that they're winning, I mean, they're still giving up a decent amount of points on the defensive side too, on average. So if I had to think about one of the two that I was more concerned about, especially the thing you need to stop the most, is that 49ers offense.
Yeah, definitely. And to me, I think the leading MVP candidate right now going into the second quarter of the year would be Christian McCaffrey, because of what you said. Just that all-purpose back that is just showing you how talented he is, and he is keeping that offense on time, and he is making everybody else better around him. All right, so this game is probably going to be the one that everyone focuses on, especially for NFC supremacy. Who do you have in this one?
I alluded to it a little bit earlier in the show, and I'm going to stick to my guns on this. And even though there have been times throughout my predictability of games in the past where I've been wrong, I am no coward. If I schedule to be here for a show the next day to talk about my wins and my losses as a media representative up here, I'm going to do it. I won't have anybody else run my show for me, but I'll be here, and I'm going to sit here and tell you if the Cowboys are going to win this game. And if I'm wrong, I'll be back here next week on Total Football Talk to wear a special hat, probably let my hair down and say, hey, I was wrong. This is how I deserve to look right now. But right now, I'm not. I'm going to stick with my guns because the Cowboys have been doing some great things this year, except the Cardinals game. I'll give you that. Okay. There have been other teams that have lost to the Cardinals as well. I've seen my fair share of the woes as well as a fan of another team that I am. But when it comes to the Cowboys, I feel like they still have that nasty taste in their mouth for how it felt last year to get smacked around by the 49ers. They somewhere out there have probably caught at least a 10-second glimpse of Snowman in the morning and listened to Snowman give his takes on the 49ers and especially the Dallas Cowboys and how he feels they're going to take because he gives emotionally driven statements. This is not an emotionally driven statement. I am fan of neither one of these teams. I could care less if this game even takes place, to be honest with you, but I have to give an actual take on this. And my take is this. The Cowboys are going to be upset with how things happened last year. They are upset with the hype around this 49ers team, and they are upset with the snowmans of the world who get too emotional about the team. So my take is going to be this. The Cowboys are going to win this game. It's not going to be a double-digit game. It's not going to be a blowout. It's not going to be ugly. It's going to be something, in my opinion, that's going to be relatively close to what we saw between the Eagles and the Commanders this past week.
Yeah.
Maybe not go to overtime, maybe end right towards the end of regulation. But what I will say is this. At the end of it, the Cowboys will win. And at the end of it, the 49ers fans should be humbled and shut their mouth about how great this team is. They are a good team. But you thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl last year, and you should have been humbled then. The worst part was you ran your mouth even more. And now look at where we're at, okay? Things are broken and foundations are cracked because of you. So we're back to this. The Cowboys are going to win. They deserve to win, and I hope they win when it comes to this and everything I just said right here.
I never thought I would hear a Commanders fan actually root for the Cowboys in any other scenario other than if they were to defeat the Giants or the Eagles to help the Commanders win the division. That's the only time I can see a Commanders fan actually rooting for the Cowboys. Not here, but go figure. Total football talk for real. From an emotional standpoint, I'm 100% with you. I really am feeling the vibe of 49ers Nation being a little bit too arrogant and wanting to rub it in the face. Definitely want to rub it in the face of Cowboys fan. Of course, I am part of a show where I am partners with a 49ers fan who has a Cowboys fan in the audience, and he takes his time every single time to show the last play of the divisional round game this past January. And I have seen that play probably once a week for the last 5. And I probably have seen the catch once every month. The catch, January 10th, 1982, Montana to Clark over Everson Walls. I've actually seen the Dak Prescott gaffe, not as much as both of those clips, but I have witnessed those ad nauseum. And I said this in January, I'll say it now 9 months later. The Cowboys, their defense is Super Bowl caliber. Their offense is not. And because their offense is not, I'm going to go with a team that has a starting quarterback that has I'm trying to think. How many losses does this guy have in the regular season? Oh, that's right, 0. And I'm the same. I don't have any rooting interest. I could care less about the Cowboys. I could care less about the 49ers. But I just don't think the Cowboys offense is going to help out the Cowboys defense. Just like I saw in January, I'm going to see the same thing this Sunday. And it's going to be probably a one-score game, probably about 3-4 points. But I'm going to pick the 49ers. And I'm not rooting for it. That's just how I see it unfold. But I wouldn't mind the 49ers getting 1L, though.
You have a great take on that as well. And in most cases, I would say I would agree with you because of all the facts you just put up there and everything we both talked about. But I think about it like this. You're not going to be undefeated forever. Okay?
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
There's no way. And if you're the Cowboys, who have one of the better teams, better defensive teams of the entire NFL, going against that offense, okay, it's either going to be the Eagles or the Cowboys at some point in this season. They're going to give him his first loss. That is how I feel about it. Because you got the Eagles and the 49ers are both undefeated right now. At some point, they're going to tangle because they meet with the NFC East this year. The 49ers do. Exactly. Whether it's the Cowboys and their defense, which have a better defense than the Eagles.
That's
but
correct.
Question marks on the offense, okay? Whether it's that goes head-to-head with the offense of the 49ers that causes him this first loss, or if it's the combination of decent defense with a really good offense that gets that first loss for the 49ers and Brock Purdy era It's going to happen. Whether it happens before, in between, somewhere or another, at some point this year, Brock Purdy's not going to go 17-0. He's not going to win every game this year. There's no way that's happened. But I would much rather see him lose to a more high caliber defense. And even though I would much rather it not happen with the Cowboys or the Eagles, because what we're going to see when that happens, Cole, is where one team's head is already big right now because of Brock Purdy. If the Cowboys win, that's just going to inflate their head even more. And we're going to the Super Bowl is going to be what we're going to be hearing about. Come from Texas. We're going to be going to the Super Bowl, and we're going to be winning Super Bowl championship. But you're not. You just have your best shot is this Super Bowl for the season for you is what's going to happen this weekend. And if you want to come up big, it's time to show everybody else that you're for real, Dallas, and beat this 49ers team and shut up the loudmouth fans of San Francisco at this time. But Kyle Nash, you are not in that class. You are a 49ers fan, but you are a respectable 49ers fan. And that's why I'm looking forward to discussing the 49ers tonight on In or Out Sports Debate episode 102. But I'll talk about that with my final word.
All right. Yeah. I will. You give the warning to 49ers fan. I'll give the warning to Cowboys fan. Look, 3 weeks ago, I saw a Cowboys fan when that 40-0 whitewashing of the Giants say, quote, "We gonna go all the way," close quote. I said to that gentleman, quote, "To the couch in January." Close quote. Don't you think that if you beat the 49ers this Sunday, that this will be a ticket to ride all the way to February in Las Vegas? Not yet. You got more work to do. And so do we. Be right back.
Next, the chopping block and snowflake of the week. This is Total Football Talk. Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. On YouTube and where you can find all podcasts. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. Football, and more football, you say? Well, tune in to Total Football Talk. Join your hosts, Drew Willingham.
You were playing like a dumpster Pelican quarterback.
And Cole Johnson.
It sets up for possible play action. Did you hear that, Dak Prescott?
As they take you through all the paces, both on the field and in the boardroom, of Total Football Talk. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. Exclusively on the Surtoba Media and the Comey Media Incorporated YouTube channel.
Welcome back to Total Football Talk. Well, obviously, I don't know what commercials are with Drew Willingham. I am Cole Johnson. Oh my goodness. And maybe I need to go on this part right here, the chopping block. Well, someone who already has gotten the chopping block experience, that would be the defensive end, Chandler Jones. I would say of the Raiders, but he was released this past Saturday, a day after he was arrested for allegedly violating a domestic violence temporary restraining protective order. Now, the 33-year-old has been away from the Raiders since Labor Day weekend when he made several posts on social media and named several Raiders executives, including bowl cut, owner Mark Davis, general manager Dave Ziegler, and head coach Josh McDaniels. Now, then he was placed on the non-football illness list last week. Now, Jones said that the Las Vegas Fire Department held him against his will last week by taking him to a hospital and then a behavioral health facility last week. Now, my question to you, not necessarily dealing with him per se, but how can the Raiders strengthen their pass rushing with Jones gone?
I don't think they can. I really don't see anybody on the free agent market or anybody within practice squads that you can really bring in to impact the team like Chandler Jones was supposed to. He's got some demons going on inside of his personal life. It seems like that he needs to get together and figure out before he comes back to the game. We've experienced this from many people in our personal lives, outside of sports, even people who do what you and I do right now, okay, who need to take some time away and figure your priorities out and figure your life out before you put your face out there in the public. It's what's going on with Chandler Jones right now. Some people really need to listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth right now, those in our profession, those in football, those in life, okay? You got to take care of what pays the bills. Take care of yourself before you even go out to work. Because if you put your worst self out there and expose yourself, nobody's going to want to employ you. Nobody's going to want to bring you in to represent their company as the face. Look at this face right here. This face almost mother, father, and died, okay? So I learned from that experience and will never put myself in that situation again. Chandler Jones, you need to take this situation and learn from it. Stop pointing the finger at the EMS for making it a bigger spectacle than what it was. They were just doing their job, okay? And now the Raiders have to do their job and try to replace you because you're now on the street. And there's nobody, in my opinion, that can just come in with the same essence as what Chandler Jones was supposed to and make an impact on that defense. And that's how I feel when it comes to the Raiders.
Yeah, I think they're stuck out too. And Chandler, please take the time to heal yourself up, bro. It is necessary for you to do that. And all I have to say is welcome back, my brother. I'm glad you're here. Again, of course, he concluded his taping, his live taping of Stuck in My Mind. Wonderful show.
I love that show.
Love it as well. You actually just saw the commercial a few minutes ago.
Oh,
yes,
I have one thing, an announcement. Wise El Jefe, since you're watching, that commercial for Stuck in My Mind, as well as the Poppy J and your show, will now be on In or Out Sports Debate for the second week in a row. It will be airing again tonight. I'm trying my best to incorporate it in all the shows. But guys, make sure you go out there and watch Wise El Jefe's projects as well for some great entertainment for one, but also some great factual information on the Stuck in My Mind podcast. You get to meet some great people out there, do similar things to what Cole and I do, not necessarily within sports, but it's cool to see what people are doing with what we do out here in the podcast game, but with different subject material.
Yeah. And also you can join my man and me, Wise and me, when we do mentality as well.
I didn't want to steal your thunder. I wanted to let you bring that one out.
Oh, I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you let me do that. Look, you are all appreciative, brother. My man Vicala or Victor Lock or V Lock A3. He says the EP of all EPs, Cole and the Exterminator, Dunster Pelicans, Sensei Drew. It is great to see you, Victor. And we just got finished talking about your Cowboys, bro. But
You missed a great one.
yeah, you did.
Make sure you go back and watch that.
Yeah, go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. I think you'll enjoy it.
I got some good sleep last night. I've been on fire today.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Oh my gosh.
Hey. Who's giving them the business?
Facts.
Now, who is not given the business is unfortunately the Bengals. And it looks like it is wrapped up in a calf by one Joe Burrow. Now, of course, he keeps playing, and the highest paid player seems to not be himself. Now, you can talk about the right calf that he strained in training camp back in July, but it seems to go much deeper. He only threw for 165 yards, 20 of 30 passing, though, this past Sunday. And unfortunately, when he was on the field, he only moved them to a field goal. Now, of course, Zach Taylor, the head coach of the team, said that the output is unacceptable and that it's disappointing and it's not the expectation to have going into the game and the season. Now, my question to you about Burrow is this, or I should say about the Bengals and Burrow. Why aren't the Bengals clicking like they have the last 2 years?
Well, ever since Joe Burrow got that contract extension, we talked about it. It's going as far back as the first episode of this show, where this contract extension seems to have definitely negatively impacted him. Some way, shape, or form. Whether it's a small portion of his mental psyche, some way, shape, or form, he is not playing like Joe Cool that he was getting compared to back when he first came into the league. He's playing more like of who he looks like. Macaulay Culkin, as if he's suited up to play in the NFL. He looks like he could be his relative. It looks like Macaulay Culkin put on a mother-fathering helmet and is going out there to play for the Cincinnati Bengals, Cole. It is an absolute dumpster fire to sit there and watch this team led by Home Alone takes the brute, puts it on his hands, and smacks his cheeks, because that's what it looks like you're doing before you go out to the game, and it's stinging you so much that you're playing like the ultimate, if not the second best dumpster pelican of the NFL.
Okay, fine.
And yes, this message is brought to you by Dumpster Pelican USA, where you can find Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, and many others on that lot of dumpster pelican isms.
He said that he looks like Macaulay Culkin.
Stop it. Get some help.
Oh my gosh. Look, I agree with you. I think what the Bengals need to do is understand that there isn't a hierarchy or a pecking order, but it almost seems as though because of that contract, it lends itself to believing there's one. And I think the more that's apparent, the more you will see more people check out on the guy who plays quarterback versus the guy who leads the team. And you now have others who probably do not think that Burrow is the guy. And hopefully that changes. But the way they're playing, I agree with you, man. It's not looking good for them at all. Macaulay Culkin.
Hey. Who's giving them the business?
Now, a spokesperson of the Chicago Bears said that wide receiver Chase Claypool was told not to attend Sunday's game against the Broncos after being designated a healthy scratch. Now, the Bears' messaging contradicts what Matt Eberflus, the head coach of the team, said following the 31-28 L they took against the Broncos in Soldier Field. Now, Sunday marked the third time that Claypool was marked inactive since he was traded to the Bears in 2020. Yeah, last year, about 11 months ago. But the first time he missed a game for non-injury purposes. Now, my question to you is the following. What must the Bears organization do to stop being such dumpster pelicans?
When it comes to this situation right here with Chase Claypool, I mean, it's the ultimate dumpster pelican situation of them all. I mean, when you think about, wow, this thing keeps repeating itself. When you put it I can't take it seriously, Cole. I'm trying to get my take, but all I keep seeing is dumpster Pelicans. I couldn't concentrate. It was knocking off my concentration. I felt like a player within the Chicago Bears organization just then. That must be what it's like to sit in the film room on a Tuesday afternoon and watch film study nothing but dumpster Pelicans, and it's over and over and over again. That's what you look like. That's how you play. That's how we're going to treat you. That's why Claypool is not in the locker room. Now, you have to take this back. I can't take the Claypool situation and put it all on the Bears because
I agree.
Steelers got rid of him for a reason and got rid of him for a lot less capital than what we thought that they should have gotten in return because Claypool came into the league and had some hype around him. I mean, look at what his 440, what he ran. He had the top 440 of the whole draft class over other people like Justin Jefferson and other great ones that were in the same draft class as Claypool. Okay. There was a lot of hype on him, but the one downside to him has been what's upstairs, what's going on up here with Claypool. Seems like he's a little immature at times and has some issues, especially with keeping his mouth shut in the field. I mean, he's gotten in trouble with the refs at certain points in the past because of him running his mouth and just doing things that are not what a professional should do. So I don't completely disagree with what the Bears are doing to kick him out of the team and potentially move away from him because the Bears organization, yes, they need to fix their dumpster Pelican-esque play. Yes, they're right there. They are the largest dumpster Pelican of them all right there in this photo as we have non-stop dumpster Pelican loop right now. We are in the dumpster Pelican time warp where all it does is go over and over and over again. This is what it's like watching 3 hours of the Chicago Bears on your TV. Nothing but dumpster Pelicans, dumpsters on fire, and acting like a bunch of idiots out there on the field because you don't know what you're doing out here in these streets. Neither does Claypool, neither does the team. They're all chaos. They've all lost it out here. You've got to do something to fix this situation. And if you don't, poof goes your team. There it is. Dumpster Pelican City right there. Chase Claypool is the 8th one from the back. The Bears lead the pack. I don't even know where Justin Fields is. I think he's underneath that Walmart bag right there. I don't know. But all I can say is this team has lost their way. They are nothing but a loop of dumpster Pelicans. Oh, gosh. That's why they call me the promo king. I don't know.
There's nothing else I need to say. That was just beautiful.
Total Football Talk.
And now we enter the part of the show in the program where we introduce the snowflake of the week. And for week 4 of the NFL season, Drew's snowflake will be presented now.
Wise El Jefe, I hope you are back. I hope you are back in the comments because the time has come. The time has come to go back to episode 99 of the In or Out Sports Debate. Go back in time to that time where I said your team was going to start the year 1-7. Look at the Giants right now. Look at how they played that game against the Seahawks. They looked like the second worst team of the league, right behind the Bears as ultimate dumpster Pelicans of the pack. Go ahead and bring it up, Cole. There it is. Limp it on back as we are back to dumpster Pelican City when it comes to the play of one snowflake of the week. I have to even take my glasses off for this one because they're not even helping me see straight right now. All I can tell you is when I look at the TV and I see the Giants, and I see this guy who's playing quarterback. Actually, you know what? Let me put my glasses back on. This is too much torture right now. When it comes to my notes right here, what I have for the ultimate snowflake of the week, I have to look at that number QB1 position of the New York Giants. And yes, he might have completed 27 to 34 passes. Great job. Great job, buddy, for completing 27 to 34 passes. But you had, what, 203 yards. Did you score anything? No, because you suck. You had 2 interceptions. You are going to start this season 1-7. I'm going to stand by my word. You are right now so close to that. Is you are 1-3. You only need 4 more losses. Go ahead. Go ahead. Prove me right. Make me right in the situation. All you got to do is go out there the next 4 games. 1, 2, 3, plus 1 more equals 4. That's 4 games. You go out there, win, lose, or draw. Hopefully you lose. I hope you lose the next 4 games and start the year 1-7. So I can be right, but also to prove the point that Daniel Jones is not the answer. He is my snowflake of the week. Get him on out of there.
Oh my gosh. Oh, man. Goodness gracious. Why? You are something else. Goodness gracious. All right. I had a couple of places I wanted to head. Oh, why not? I'm going to actually go. Yeah, I'm going to go to the same game that I thought I probably would award somebody something, but I'm going to award this person something. Mr. Jerry Tillery, come on down. You're the next contestant on Mental Midget Theater. Now, for those who are unaware of what happened, well, in the game this past Sunday, he went against it just like Khalil Mack went against his former team. Mr. Tillery went against his because he was once a former Charger. But he got to be now a Raider. Now he went to show off against his former team. And he decided to lay a nasty, dirty hit on former teammate and quarterback Justin Herbert. And then he was thrown out of the game in the second quarter. Sir, you had the nerve to celebrate when you got ejected. Here's what you didn't need to do. Celebrate something dirty. So what you need to do, sir, is to sit patiently, shut up, and understand what you did and do better. Don't be taking cheap shots on the field, man. People's livelihoods are dependent upon you doing your job correctly, not acting like a goon. And that's what you did, son. We don't need goons. Stop it. We'll be back.
The 2-minute drill is next. This is Total Football Talk. Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Monday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 2:05 p.m. Central. Exclusively on the Sertoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool.
Where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where my soldiers? Left side.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As she takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel.
Chris Bass.
Yes, I love Chris Bass. Wonderful guy. Rounding into from third, going to home, and down the stretch we come on Total Football Talk. And before we do get to the 2-minute drill, yes, your request has been answered. Your dream has been fulfilled. Thank you, DMC. Wyatt says, look, it's the O-line that really deserves to be the snowflake of the week or snowflakes of the week. 11 sacks they allowed. And he also says the commies will be win number 2 for the Giants. He went on to say, your own team will be the ones to let you down.
You say that every week. You say that every week to yourself. But I'm going to take this back to what I was saying before, because my apologies for interrupting Cole. I have to let him transition us from the commercial. But Chris Bass, this message is for you. Based on your commercial, I think it's time. I think it's time that Baseline brought someone of my stature onto Baseline for an episode. I'm calling you out to bringing me in off the bench and let me come into Baseline at some point, because I want to touch up on some of these topics that you be talking, because it's time that someone of my energy level comes to Baseline. You name the time and place. We already know the place. You name the time. I'll be there. Hit me up. That is for Chris Bass.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it here. Drew wants to be part of Baseline. All right. Nice. Cool. Well, hopefully we will see that energy be amped up even further. And it'll be hard because Chris Bass has a lot of energy, his doggone self. But, well, who has the energy quite like Brother Drew?
I should have been dead, Cole. I should have been dead. But you can't kill greatness.
No. No.
Just kidding.
Oh, and Wise wants to say to you, he has an open invite for to the show. With that being said, welcome to the 2-minute drill, where we feature the best of the rest. And before we do feature the best of the rest, now we are at the time of the schedule where we have to now deal with buys. And so the first 4 teams that are going to be on their buys will be the Browns, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Bucks. That's the Browns, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Bucks. They will be on their buys for this coming week. And no Bunker Stay Field references for next week. I'm sorry, sir. But there are games to be played, starting with the I'm sorry. The Bears traveled to Landover to play the Washington Commanders. Now, of course, that was not really for the Commanders. That was for the Bears. Thursday night kickoff, 8:15 p.m. The Commanders are 6.5-point favorites. Who do you have in this game, sir?
This is not a homer pick, but based on what we've seen for the past 4 weeks from the Bears, I have the Commanders winning this game. And I actually gave a score prediction yesterday on Commanders Gridiron Report. I'm going to say the Commanders win this game. It's not going to be a blowout of any sorts because they're coming off of 3 days to prepare for this game after their previous one. I think they win this game 17-12. I think the Bears only get 4 field goals out of this. And that's probably being generous considering how they've been playing over the past month. But I think that the Bears have a good shot at getting 4 field goals. I think their kicker is definitely talented. Probably the only person on the team I could say is actually talented right now. But yes, 17-12 is my prediction for the Commanders' score over the Bears.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be the Commanders. The Commanders are 2-2 at the moment. The Bears, of course, are 0-4. I think they will be searching for their first win again after they leave Landover. To the Sunday games, 1 p.m. kickoff. The Texans will be traveling to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to play the Falcons. The Falcons are 1.5-point faves. Both teams are 2-2. Who do you have?
This is a pretty good contest right here with the Texans, who've been taking it, up a notch and have definitely proven that they are not the team that they once were. But when I look at this right here, you're going against the Falcons. If the Falcons decide throughout this week, which I think we would have heard something by now, to start Heineke over Ritter, I think we have a chance of seeing the Falcons potentially win this game. But based on the momentum of what Houston's been doing, and C.J. Stroud having multiple games over 300 yards and not looking like a rookie, looking like somebody who's pretty poised to come in there and do some things for the Texans, I think the Texans come out of this game 3-2.
Wow. Now, this is going to be shocking. Okay, so he's picking the Texans. I'm actually going to pick the Falcons. I'm not quite sold yet. Yes, I know the Texans already have a road victory. I just get the feeling the Falcons would be one of those. This is going to be one of those games where the Falcons could be like, well, people think that we suck because the last 2 games, we're going to show that we are the teams that we were the first 2 weeks. And I see them having a more inspired effort considering they're at home. So although I'm rooting for the Texans, I see the Falcons winning this one. Another Sunday 1 p.m. kick. The Lions at 3-1. They host the Panthers 0-4. The Titans 1 p.m. kickoff. They are 2-2. The Colts are also 2-2. The Lions are favored by 9, and I don't think we have to go to who's going to win it. The Colts are favored by 1 in their home game against the Titans Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff. Both teams are 2-2. Who do you have in this one?
I like how we skipped over the Lions and Panthers because, of course, we already know what's going to happen to that one.
Yes.
But when it comes to this one, Tennessee Titans, if you have to play against the legend known as Uncle Rico, you're going to lose this game. If Anthony Richardson, for some reason, gets a stuffy nose and can't play, and you have to call upon your savior, that being Uncle Rico, if he comes into this game at any point, and hopefully towards the end, and not down by too much, Uncle Rico is going to lead a comeback. Tennessee Titans will be 2-3, and the Colts will be 3-2. Even if that doesn't happen, Colby Johnson, even if it doesn't happen, and Uncle Rico just warms up the bench, I have a feeling that it's almost time for Tannehill time to end in Tennessee. It is time for not only that, but Braves. Derrick Henry can only take you but so far. He's going to cool off this week, and the Colts are going to win this game, whether it's with Anthony Richardson or Uncle Rico. They will be 3-2. The Titans will be 2-3, and that's how this game ends, my man.
The Titans play the Colts well for some reason. I don't know why. But you talked about the one-trick pony, and I think that pony has been found and discovered that if you can limit him early, you could shut him out the rest of the game. And I think the Colts know that formula, and I think they'll work it to perfection in Indianapolis, Indiana. So I'll say the Colts will win this one as well. Sunday, 1 p.m. kickoff. The Giants are 1-3. Go to South Beach to face against the Dolphins 3-1. The Saints are 2-2, and they go and they're traveling to. No, I'm just joking. All right, who do you have between the Giants and the Dolphins?
Not only does Daniel Jones been playing terrible in this season, but the offensive line for the Giants as well. Wise El Jefe had a really good point talking about the O-line. If you're not going to protect him and give up 11 sacks in the game, and you're playing against the Dolphins, who are upset at how they lost to the Bills this past weekend, they didn't just lose, they got embarrassed. They're going to try to replicate that on this Giants team that they know just got embarrassed on Monday Night Football. So I feel like the Dolphins are definitely going to win this one, and pretty easily. The Giants will be one step closer to 1-7.
And the Dolphins are favored by 11. Oh my gosh, yes. And I think the Dolphins are going to take care of business. Another Sunday 1 p.m. kick in Foxborough. The Patriots at 1-3. They take on the Saints, who are 2-2. The Patriots are favored by a 1.5. Who do you have in this one?
Well, for this one, I'm going to do something special, Cole Johnson. For this one, I'm going to give a little bit of a preview of what you're going to see from the hoodie at some point. When it comes to the hoodie, tonight on episode 102, this is going to be part of what we're talking about right here. Bill Belichick should undoubtedly be on the hot seat after last week's loss to the Cowboys. And when I think about that coming into this game, going against the New Orleans Saints, if you don't win this game against a New Orleans Saints team that played absolutely terrible this past weekend, like yourself, you both played absolutely terrible this past weekend. If you lose this game to the Saints, I'm thinking about hot seat too much. If you lose this game to the Saints, that hot seat only gets hotter, and to the point that you may not even finish the season out as the head coach. Now, I highly doubt that because of your storied career with the Patriots. They're going to let you probably finish out the season and let you resign, not bring you back next year if you continue on this trajectory that you are on right now. But if you lose to the Saints, that seat only gets hotter, okay? And that's how I feel when it comes to this right here. I do feel like the Patriots are going to pull this one out, but Mac and She Jones is not the quarterback of the future for the Patriots. He's been proving it this season. When we thought there was hope before, there's no hope for Mac and She. The Patriots will win this game, but it's going to be an ugly one.
It definitely is going to be an ugly one. This is how much faith I have in the Patriots offense. None. I actually do believe the Saints will go in and they'll take the W. They'll be the road dog and they'll win, because I just don't have any faith in the Patriots offense at all. Their defense is fine. Now, if the defense actually does like what the Cowboys have done and actually score a couple of touchdowns, then maybe, or the Steelers defense too, then maybe. But if it's all on the Patriots offense, nah. I just don't trust them. All right, to the 5 p.m. kicks. The Eagles travel to L.A. to play the Rams. The 4-0 Eagles face off against the 2-2 Rams at SoFi. The Eagles are favored by 4.5. Who do you have?
When it comes to this game right here, the Rams have not been anywhere close to the team that they were, the Super Bowl caliber team from a couple of years back. Nowhere close. They had some good positive sparks this past weekend, but those are about to fizzle, even at home against the defending NFC champions, who definitely proved in that slugfest this past weekend with the Washington Commanders that they are still the team to beat in the NFC East, and most likely one of the two, if not the team to beat in the NFC. Okay, so when I lay all the cards out there, Rams are going to get beat. It is going to be a Ramily beatdown this Sunday at 4:00.
I know you heard that, Playmaker. Yes,
sorry, Playmaker, but it's true.
and I agree with Drew. I just don't think the Eagles have the horses to hang with the Eagles, and the Eagles have not really put forth a solid game yet. And I don't even think they'll put forth a solid game here. And I still believe the Eagles will actually notch another W and go to 5-0 against the Rams, because I just don't think the Rams have no talent to overcome them, even at home. On the other 4:05 p.m. kickoff, the Cardinals at 1-3. They host the Bengals, also at 1-3. The Bengals are the road favorites by 3. Who do you have in this one?
I have the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals because the games that they have been losing have been kind of close, for one, and they've been playing really good teams this year so far. They have not had an easy schedule. Those 3 losses that they had, yeah, they deserved to lose, but on the other hand, you can say at certain points of the game, they deserve to win too. So I've got the Cardinals beating the Bengals because the Bengals have just been losing games just by playing absolutely horrid style of football. The Cardinals have been in it and fighting every single game. This past weekend against the 49ers was probably the biggest deficit they've had so far this season out of the 3 losses. And you're playing the 49ers, who are a really good team. So when I put it all in perspective, when I think about it, I got to go with the team that's had the best competition so far. And not only the best competition, but has been giving the other team the better competition in that game as well of all the teams. I got to give it to the Cardinals. If they had Kyler Murray, who wasn't getting hurt and playing too much Call of Duty, they would be a better team right now. But, hey, they're going to prove it this weekend.
Or as Victor will say, call a booty. Yes, I'm with you. And yes, the largest deficit of the L that they took happened to be in Santa Clara. So yeah, I mean, the 49ers are a good team, especially at home. Yeah, the Cardinals have fought even in that game. They have fought every single week. The Bengals have thrown in a towel a couple of times, and I agree with you. I take the Cardinals too. Because I think the fight of the Cardinals will overtake the talent that the Bengals actually do have over the Cardinals. I just don't think the Bengals have it in them. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I just don't think I am. One of the 2 4:25 p.m. kicks. The Broncos at 1-3 return home. They host the fellow 1-3 Jets. The Broncos are favored by 2. Who do you have?
You know, I would agree with that had I not seen the game that I saw from the Jets this past weekend against the Chiefs. They turned it on, and they didn't have quite enough to get it done against the reigning AFC champion / Super Bowl champions in the Chiefs. But I was impressed with what I saw, and especially out of Zach Wilson, who I almost foolishly gave the full dog of the week to until I rethought my situation midway through and gave it to the right person, in my opinion, on the offensive side of the dog of the week. But when I come back to this situation right here, and I think about the Broncos and the fact that you had to come back against the worst team of the NFL, the Chicago Bears, the ultimate, bring it up, Cole, the ultimate dumpster Pelican team of the NFL. You two are 1, 2, 3, 4. Top 4 of the dumpster Pelicans in the entire NFL. And you had to come back from 21 points down against the ultimate dumpster Pelican team in the league? No. I can't give it to you. You were 21 points down to the largest dumpster Pelican in all of the land, full of Walmart trash bags they are standing on right there. And they're the cold bags too. You know, they're blue, they're cold. They mark which is cold. White one is the regular. The cold one's blue. They're standing on the cold bags in the dumpster Pelican land of the land. Okay. And you want to be favored by 2 points? You were down 21 and to come back against the Bears? Oh, I don't think so. When you're playing against a team that only lost to the reigning defending champions by a field goal, by 3 points. No, I have the Jets in this game, and deservingly so. I would like to be wrong here, but I feel like the Jets are going to win this game because of the way they showed up and shelled out this past weekend.
If the Jets can show me that they haven't forgotten about Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, then yes, I will probably say Jets. Unfortunately, since they have shown that they want to have Zach Wilson win every single thing, I have to put it in the hands of the Broncos. And I'm saying this disgustedly. I want to think the Jets have what it takes to beat the Broncos, and they do. But I just think that they're hitching their wagon to the wrong guy. And I don't necessarily mean quarterback wise. I just mean offensive flow wise. Yeah. So I say Broncos. Although I can see the Jets winning this game easily, obviously. But yeah, I just don't have the faith in the Jets offense. The other 4:25 p.m. kick, the Chiefs are favored by 5. They're on the road in the Twin Cities to take on the 1-3 Vikings. They are 3-1 themselves. Who do you have, sir?
I have the Chiefs in this one. The Vikings, just with their style of play, even though you edged one out this past weekend, I just am not sold on this team. Kirk Cousins throwing 2 interceptions in this past game, not at the type of level we're used to seeing Captain Kirk play. This Vikings team is definitely a shell of themselves, nowhere even close to the 13-14 that we saw last year. I think the Chiefs definitely take this win right here.
Well, I'm sure CBS and the Vikings will show out because they want to impress Taylor Swift in the stands, or I should say in the VIP boxes. But I think the Chiefs will get the W against the Vikings. Heck, we actually might see another 300-yard passing game from Cousins in another L. The Monday night game features the Packers at 2-2. They travel to Las Vegas to play the Raiders at 1-3. The Packers are the road favorites by 2. The kickoff is at 8 p.m. on Monday. Who do you have in this one?
I have the Packers in this one. Jordan Love definitely, took some steps back this past week. Is definitely had some bumps in the road. Learning as he goes. But if he's playing against Aiden O'Connell, the rookie who has no experience, and hasn't been behind someone like Aaron Rodgers for the past few seasons to learn from, I got to give it to the Packers here, even though they are traveling to Las Vegas. I got to give it to them in this contest.
And I say the same. The Raiders seem to be out of sorts, definitely on offense and defensively. I think they somewhat don't know which way's up either. And yes, they're at home, but they have played underwhelming the last 2 weeks. I will make it a third, and I think the Packers will take it. And remember, the teams that are on bye for this week will be the Browns, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Bucks. Again, it will be the Browns, the Chargers, the Seahawks, and the Bucks. They are on byes for this week. And that concludes the 2-minute drill.
Total football talk.
As long as it's one. Oh, that's great. I love it. I hope it actually is recording.
And now we come to the post game where we get to discuss what has been on our minds and what is in our hearts and souls for this past week and for the upcoming week. And for his final thoughts, I'll throw it to Drew.
There's not many people out there that are going to give but so much shade to the Washington Commanders, and especially that move that old Ronald Eugene Rivera made in this past week. But I still have nightmares over it 2 days later. I can't help sitting here thinking, had you tried to ice the kicker, would he have missed the field goal? Would you have gotten the ball back? Would you have ultimately won the game? The shoulda, coulda, wouldas are driving me wild right now, okay? I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses and get emotionally driven like some other people do when watching their team, whether it's an NFC team that plays pretty well, or if it's an AFC team that does okay. All right? I'm going to sit up here and be 100% real. There ain't nothing fake about this bro right here when it comes to showing up here and talking. I'm the same person here as I am off camera too. My life is fun, okay? And I love having fun with you guys out here. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm just going to tell you 100% how it is. And Ronald Eugene Rivera, how dare you not do this? All you had to do is take your finger like this, take your other one like this, and go, I want timeout. I want to try to ice kicker. I want to do my job when I get paid for it. My name is Ronald Eugene Rivera, and I suck because I don't make the right decisions as the head coach. Which is why they're talking about replacing you anyway. Eric B. is going to come up in here, take over the reins this offseason, and I guarantee you, Cole, I guarantee you, you're in overtime, and you're in a situation like that, and you have not one, but 2 timeouts. He is going to take a timeout and stop the game and let Jake get all iced. Imagine this was 2 months from now and it's cold outside. Icing the kicker is legitimate at that point. You need to get ready for making the tough decisions. And I think the Commanders front office is getting ready to make those tough decisions by getting you out of there because you are not making the right decision. Thank you, Sam Kinison, for inspiring my comedy, where I'm just yelling 1 minute and then talking like this the next minute. Very controlled, because you, Ronald Eugene Rivera, deserve it, because you are not head coach material, in my opinion, anymore. That's how I feel with my final word.
I had a feeling you were going to invoke Sam Kinison. Yeah, good Lord. Rest in peace, sir. Goodness gracious. Memo to today NFL fan. When you saw the 70-20 butt whooping that the Dolphins gave the Broncos, it was not permission for you to anoint the Dolphins the best team in NFL because you were gobsmacked that a team absolutely scored 70 points and we weren't talking about a college game. If you were to pay attention a little closer, you would have witnessed that they gave up 200 yards on the ground against a team that really does not like to run in the Chargers. And that was a red flag for me in understanding that, okay, well, their offense is great. They still have a little ways to go with their defense. But a lot of people were like, well, Miami still is the best team in NFL. But oh, did the tide switch hard when the team that scored 71 Sunday gave up 48 the next. And now I'm hearing things such as the same people saying that the Dolphins are Super Bowl bound, they quickly said in 7 days they're frauds. Make up your minds, mental midgets. Which one is it? Are the Dolphins Super Bowl contenders or are they frauds? Really, they're neither. And if you were to pay attention, you will see that this is a team that is still trying to learn how to win. And they got a big time lesson this past Sunday in Western New York on how to do so. So you can't get too high in victories and you can't get too low in defeats. But I pretty much know that I'm speaking in an echo chamber when it comes to mental midgets like you. But still, it has to be said because somebody has to take responsibility for the idiocy that is today NFL fan. Adults.
As long as it's one. Oh, it's great. I love it. I hope it actually is recording. Listening to it.
Cole, you said that beautifully because I put 3 team fans in that category of mental midgets. And they go as the following, and deserving so for what they're dealing with this year. The New England Patriots, for what we've had to listen to for 20 years.
20 years.
Okay? For 20 years. The Dallas Cowboys, for what we've listened to for about 30 years now. Okay. And especially over the past 10 years, the emotionally driven, can't keep their priorities together, San Francisco 49er fans. That is the 3 fan bases that are full of mental midgets, minus Kyle Nash, because Kyle Nash speaks the truth. Other than that, mental midgets everywhere.
Oh my. I swear. Never a dull moment with you. And I love it. Anything else for the Total Football Talk audience before we let them go?
Hey, I love you guys for tuning in with us.
Yes, thank you.
Cole and I've been having fun with this 2.5 hours. There's no other show that I do or even he does regularly that goes for this long. And it doesn't feel like it's that long. It does not feel like it's 2.5 hours when we get on here. I enjoy every single show that I do each week. I only get a chance to do 4 shows because of how crazy my work schedule is. And I'm working a full-time career and chasing this dream at the same time. But I can say this, and it's no offense to anybody else I've worked with on past projects or even the current project. I look forward the most to this project right here because Cole takes all the pressure off of me, and without trying to, it just does, because everything else I do, I create. I do almost everything for it, except for the awesome promos that Cole has been generous enough to help donate with me and work with me on. I appreciate that as well. Other than that, and Cole understands this too, it takes a lot and a lot of mental creativity to put all this stuff together. and to be able to show up and truly just show up and just, I'll have some notes, but to show up and just rattle off. This is the version of me that I try to bring to the In-N-Out Sports Debate. I do a fairly good job with it, but when I'm doing everything behind the scenes like he's doing right now, even though I have the access to do the same things he's doing right now, Cole does everything on this show except for I might click a what or a yeah every now and then. But this is all Cole right here. I owe everything to this man right here because you are bringing out the best in me in these 5 episodes, and I love it, and I love you, man. And even though tonight's going to be fun on In-N-Out Sports Debate episode 102, I got 2 great people in Kyle Nash and Joey Raymond coming on for another Trios episode. I'm going to try my best to bring the type of energy that I brought here while still clicking the buttons, doing everything in the past, but I know that it is ultimately almost impossible because of what you and I can do together when we're on this show. As soon as this show ends, I'm already looking forward to next week's episode, brother. So thank you again for everything that you bring to this, for everything you do for everybody else, because it is people like yourself that bring the best out of me and why I'm still breathing today. So thank you.
Well, you are a treasure to everybody, and I love you too, man. That goes without saying. And man, if what I do makes you able to just simply be you and just present and just give us all of your beautiful brilliance and energy, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And thank you for that. Totally appreciate that. And if you want to reach Drew, the social media handles are here. Of course, you already saw the Willie Bucks. Sotoba media on Instagram, Sotoba _ media on X, and of course at Sotoba Media on YouTube. And if you want to reach me, you can find everything under flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. And you can find this show at Comey Media, that's COMI Media Incorporated, on the YouTube channel.
Before we roll,
yes,
every time I see that picture of you, every single time, it takes me back to when you start imitating the Deshaun Watson stuff. The picture pops up, and I'm thinking, "Hey, girl," and all that stuff that you say. And I can't do it just like you do it, but every time that picture pops up, the "Hey, girl" pops up in my head. And I can't help it, but now I get to actually laugh about it because every single time Cole's picture goes, it floats across the street. I think about that moment. I love it. So it's moments like that that bring out the best of other people. So thank you again, brother, for that with the "Hey, girl."
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. Thank you, man. Oh Lord. And thank you guys for liking, thank you for sharing, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for hitting that notification bell so you can catch all content that emanates from the wonderful Sotoba Media channel, YouTube channel, where the struggle is real to be awesome, or the Comey Media YouTube channel, where of course we're creating wonderful magic in the real world. For Drew Willingham, I'm Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as we always do, in life, just like a tackle, keep your head up. And always remember, you got to play until the whistle blows. So long, everybody.